It's the same interest, is the same land. It's considered as Israel land, occupied land, like one of the United States land. So, as you know, the military bases, which they are around all Arab countries, Gulf countries, since maybe now 30, 40 years, they are for what? To defend Israel, to defend the interest and the well-being of Israelis in the region.
And hold
This
on.
is no
What did I
discouragement.
just ask you? What else happens in the Gulf region? There's something else that the U.S. might have an interest. What else occurs in the Gulf region?
In the
Is there
Gulf
a
region, you
flow
know,
of commerce,
as a
perhaps?
source, as a source of oil, the black gold. This is one of the interests of the United States, and you know how they benefit from this oil, number one. So in the same time, they benefit from to protect and to guarantee the security and safety and well-being and the development for Israel. And this is real. So they have more than interest in the ground, one for themselves, one for Israel. Now I'm discussing about the idea, our private idea.
Hold on a minute. You didn't really answer my. You said there's oil. Is there commerce in the Persian Gulf? There is a reason that the U.S. protects the flow of commerce. Do you know that the U.S. before 1948 also protected in the region and also had troops in the region? Do you know like about we can go back to the Barbary Wars that this is not something new for the United States to have some control over the flow of commerce? Like, does that sound like something that might have happened before 1948?
As a guy,
and have nothing to do with the state of Israel?
as a as a citizen from this region, from Yemen, and I know what's going on in Gulf country. I visited many times, many countries in the Gulf region. Their 90% of their commerce, it came from Asia, from India, from China. So how can we claim that to about trade and about commerce, while this commerce is not even 50% from the United States? Most of commerce and things which are in commerce and business came from China, came from India, came from that region in Asia, Japan, or whatever else of those countries who produce a lot of things around the world. While not more than 20% of the trade or the commerce is coming from United States. So it means I'm sorry to say that United States, it's stupid that it guarantee the business and the money and the trade and commerce for China. If you like to say that.
No,
China now is
specifically
75%.
asking you about the Gulf region and the commerce in the Gulf region, and I specifically asked you because you said it's from 1948 forward, and I asked you, do you know U.S. history? Do you know our maritime history, our history in the region, and that it dates back to the time, it goes all the way back to when we went into the Barbary Wars. We exist and it is not unusual for the United States to have a presence to police the free flow of commerce in that region. We have oil interests. We have lots of oil interests. You know, Saudi Aramco didn't just like happen out of, the air. There's lots of interest in that region to protect that region. And that region is under attack by people from Yemen shooting freaking missiles at U.S. vessels and U.S. commercial vessels and international vessels in that region. People from Yemen just think it's a good idea to shoot at them and to kill U.S. troops in the region. Do you think we might have a reason to be there that doesn't have to do with Israel?
As you go back to give some evidence I agree with you on that. I agree
And
with
the
you
causing
100%.
inflation.
The existence of United States influence and the troops, it's not from this date or it's not from 1948, you are right. But when you go through, it's not the issue of existence, the issue how the United States have been behaving in those areas, sensitive area like Korea Sea, like Gulf region, like Middle East in total. You know what the reaction of United States, how they did in Vietnam, how they did in Japan, how did they did in Afghanistan. Afghanistan after 20 years, how many soldiers have been killed? How many money and billion dollars in Afghanistan have been damaged, have been missed like that.
What's
Do
your
you,
point? You don't like the United
do you
States? Is that
analyze?
your point?
Do you analyze this existence? Is it
two
to guarantee the interest of United States or to bring?
The Yemenis have decided it's a good idea to shoot at American troops, and American vessels are going to be shot back at. And there will be drones, and there will be repercussions if you shoot at American
You
troops
don't.
and
No,
American
it's not.
facilities.
Not
Like,
like.
what part of that doesn't register for you? Do you want
No,
to
it's not.
jump on? You don't like America? I'm sorry, but stop attacking us.
No, I don't attack you. I say, can you analyze, frankly, the politics and
There's
how
different
United
reasons.
States. Example. Are you satisfied as a citizen of America of what America have been doing 20 years in Afghanistan? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied?
Citizen, I like America. I love America. I'm very satisfied. I'm thrilled when the Trump administration entered into the Abraham Accords with normal countries that are in that region and made peace. Can't wait for peace to come to Saudi as well. I think that that's great. It's very sad that Yemen has to have so much anger towards the West. I don't know how you're brought up or what you're taught to hate the West so much, but get on board with the other Gulf nations because they're figuring.
My friend, when you speak about Yemen, it's a one specific group. It calls Al Houthi. It's a small group who control some part of Yemen, not all Yemen. So it's not honest to say Yemen while the one who's doing this against the United States existence presence in the region, it's one group who's not controlling all the Yemeni land. So let's be specific. There is a specific group. You cannot claim that all
What are you doing to get rid
Lebanese.
of that group? What are you doing to get rid of that group? If they're a bad group of people, what are you doing in Yemen to get rid of them? And we have bad actors in the U.S. We do things about it. What
They
are
have
you
done a
doing?
war for like a decade now.
Yes, of course it's two factor, but
I mean, but he's also attacking everything about the U.S. I mean, I'm trying to get what his point is. He thinks that the problems there are because of Israel, when this is a different part of the region, and it's just ridiculous.
Yes, can I say something? Can I say something?
Someone else take this.
Yeah, I just want to say,
Please, let me say something bad.
lost her seat.
I'll-
She's, yes,
Oh, right.
yes, she
Wonderful.
was gone. Hallelujah.
Wow. That's two down.
That's two down, more to go.
Omar's coming
I
up.
mean,
Omar's.
I was gonna say something if you don't let me.
let me 1 second.
Please pardon me.
Hold
Hold on, we have a commercial break on something exciting.
Yes, Corey Bush,
I mean,
your brother squad.
Poodle, my God. Okay, listen, hold on. Seriously, like, I don't know why anybody would think that they're so special that if 15 other people are talking, that they should be talking too. I'm not sure who is supposed to be speaking, but let's.
Yeah, I just wanted to update the room on Corey Bush's status in Congress, part of the squad. She is out. She lost. Hallelujah. Back to regular scheduled programming.
Thank you for that.
yeah, I mean,
Big margin.
The United States, well, yeah, the United States is in different parts of the ocean for different reasons and for different histories. Obviously, they're in different places because they're probably the only country in the world that can actually do that. China's beginning to build a navy, but it's still much smaller than the States. But the United States is around Japan for a very different reason, that it's in, in the Middle East or for, so it's all kind of case by case basis.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking my friend. Let's
this is
consider
a-
example. If China has established military base near from United States,
Oh my
is
God.
United States should be happy? Should not say no?
Okay.
Well, it depends on the agreement.
I say example. If China has established some military base near from United States land, few meters, is it that okay? United States should be okay? Should accept it? Do you think this, if it happened in the
Are you
Well,
talking like the Bay of Pigs? Are we revisiting that?
do you think China, when it moves from China land in Asia and go to United States to North America to establish some
Where are
military
they
base,
going? Tell me where
what's
they're
the
setting up.
reaction?
I mean, where are they going? Mexico, Canada?
Any point near from United States, any point.
I mean, you're not gonna change anybody's point of view here. I mean, you're just not going to.
I'm just discussing idea. What you think about the other side? What do you will do?
But I mean, this is the sad reality of it. Like, the sad truth is that I can appreciate where you're coming from, and it fucking sucks. But the real part is that it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about the other side of it, because that's not the side.
Okay, now I need to hear from you the private opinion. How can we end this suffering? How can we end this
By blowing
humanitarian crisis?
the Houthis, Hezbollah, the IRGC, Hamas, blowing these motherfuckers the fuck.
That's right. She's right. I mean, I want to say something. I'm just going to say something. I've been listening to you, and I think you have a quintessential pan-Arab view of this conflict. And what I mean by pan-Arab means you're sitting on the other side, yeah, of the I guess the divide of the world. You're on the other side of the world where we are. On this stage and in this room, essentially, and the people that are on the stage, we are here because we have American interests. So first know your audience, and then don't be so bewildered by what's being said. What she's saying, what Kelly just said, is exactly what our position is, because we're defending our country. I understand that perhaps you're not in that same, predicament. That U.S. isn't your main interest, but it is ours. So what you're hearing is essentially it's essentially speech, and it is strategy that supports American interests. Now, I think what you're saying is American interest is to the disadvantage of the people that you're talking about. Is that correct? Because we're not going to change our position from defending American interests. That's where we are. So tell me what it is that, for example, you're seeing that's disadvantageous to you, and then we'll try to negotiate. But don't ask the people in this stage to look at it from your perspective. We're adversaries. We're just sitting on the other side of the negotiating table. But we can still talk. Let's keep talking.
Sorry, my friend. I'm the one who is asking. I'm the one who try to hear from you. I'm not giving some my own opinion, and I give my own believe that, and I influence it on you. I say no, this is the right, this is the truth. I have asked the first question. What do you think from your private point of view as a person, as American citizen, how to end this conflict, which has been now around 80, 90 years. And from time to time, from 1 year to another year, we have a conflict. Before it was with Arab states, Egypt, Syria. There is no existence for Hamas, no existence for Iran. Iran is 1970. It was 1948. So you have around 25 years difference between the regime existence in Iran and the conflict in the region of Middle East, Palestine and around. So before Hezbollah, he was established after 1980 something. Hezbollah, it was not there before this date. Hezbollah, it came after around 35 years of the existence of what's Israel state. So Hamas, the same. Hamas, it has no more than 40 years. So let's be logics. Let's be speak frankly. Speak about the reality on the ground. We cannot claim something that it's not there. Example, as you know, I have a friend. I'm working with him. He's Jewish. He has the citizenship of Israel. He's my friend in the work. We are working together in the international organization. Then we start to discuss friendly about this conflict. Then I give him the map. I say, do you know this map? He says, yes. Do you know where is Israel? He says, yes. Do you know what's around Israel? Around Israel border, in the land border, is Egypt from this side, Jordan from this side, down, Lebanon from this side, Syria from this side. Do you think those states which has millions of people who are Arab, speak Arab, around all Israel border, land border, Arab states, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. Do you think all of us are wrong? While the existence of this state, who you bring people from different countries, from different ethnicity, from different region, you bring a Jewish from Russia, you bring a Jewish from Germany, bring a Jewish from France, you bring a Jewish from then you say, no, this is a Jewish state, this is Israel state. My friend, do you see around you? Example, if you go to Uganda, do you see the border of Uganda is all surrounded by Africa.
Respond. Let me just ask you a question. I know you're a centurion speaker. I can tell. Let me ask you a question. I mean, since you're so familiar with all the Arab neighboring countries there, how come they won't help the Palestinians and take them in? How come your Arab neighbors don't want to have anything to do with the Palestinians? They've closed their borders. Everybody from Emirat to the Egyptians to King Hussein over there in Ordon in I just said it in Farsi. How come all of those Arab nations won't lift a finger, including Saudi and bin Salman? How come they won't lift a finger for your Palestinian brothers? Why is it the U.S.'s problem to solve an Arab conflict? May I ask, please? I'm perplexed by this. Israel is the only standing democracy in the region. And yet, instead of helping them and propping them up and actually giving them the support that they need so that they can flourish and prosper and also bring in more freedoms for that region, all you're doing, right, is chiseling away at those pillars of democracy, which are the only ones standing over there. I'm really confused. Why don't your Arab neighbors go ahead and throw their hat in the ring and try to help out? Why is that?
Yeah, let me respond to your question. It's a good point. I have been asked many times this same question exactly. Hey, why you don't open your order for those Palestinians? As we say, those people, they cannot leave their own land, their own home, then should be displaced or they should be refugees in the border countries, because the right and the priority for them to support them to stay in their land before the establishment of what's called Israel and before the arrival of those
I mean, respectfully, we've
different
got to
people
figure
from
out
around the
what's
world.
more important, life or land. And it seems to me that you can't decide because you are worried about your life, but you're worried about their land. So I'm curious what their land means to you.
So it means that anyone come with force, and he say, if you don't leave your home, if you don't leave your land, you should be killed. So you are the one who
So it
advised.
seems like this is a
leave
region
your
that you
home.
think should be
Your life
destined
is more
to
important
proxy
than
control
than
because what's
your
going
land.
on in
Yes.
Palestine is exactly what you are afraid for people to deal with where you are. I mean, like, I don't understand. I don't know why we're talking because you seem very.
Also, what he's not telling you is exactly what he just said is what they did in Yemen to all the Jews. There's no Jews left in Yemen. They kicked them all out.
No,
there
no,
used
it's
to be
not true. It's not.
no, it
It's
is
not true.
150% true.
It's not
I think,
true.
oh, excuse me, there was one Jew left in all of Yemen. And I think he just finally either
My
died
friend.
or he left.
My
No, my friend, you are 100% wrong. They exiled all of them out. There are no Jews. There was a beautiful, thriving Jewish community that lived in Yemen. They are gone, all of them. They live in Israel now. Most of them had to. I'll get the year in a second when they kicked them all out. But there are no Jews left. So you want to tell me where the beautiful synagogues are in Yemen and the population?
Let me explain
Yeah,
something.
explain
I never
that
talked
one.
about Jews.
Why'd you kick
I never talked about Yemeni Jews. I never talked about them. It's not true that what you say. I never talked about them. But if you like me to talk about my people who immigrated to what's called today Israel or the Palestine, those people we are part of them. As you know,
Your
my
people,
grandfather.
what do you mean,
Let
Yemenites?
me
I don't follow.
let me
People
let
that
me
lived
let
in
me
Yemen.
let me give you some facts on the history in the region. The Jewish in Yemen, all Yemeni people before Islam, all 100%, we are Jews. No discussion on that. Then I can show you from my old town in Yemen, Sana'a, the David Star. It's existed in all our houses, in our doors, in our gate, in our places of worship. I can show you 100,000% in my town. Believe me, it's not to say to be kind or to give you something. Maybe you didn't hear about it. I'm giving you, I give you evidence, and I can share with you video, and I share with you all the evidence to confirm that Yemeni people in all villages, in all towns, in everywhere in Yemen, from head to the north, to the south, to the west, are Jewish, no exception. We have in area, I'm talking.
You're not making any sense. And you can Google and read about Operation Magic Carpet because that's what most of them left as they flee Yemen. There's no Jewish community in Yemen. You kicked them out.
I'm talking to you about the history, the history before Islam. Then let me go ahead to explain for you what happened after Islam, right, to Yemen, till the date that you are talking about, that there is no any Jewish community in Yemen. If you don't understand the circumstances and what's happening in this region before, you cannot understand the nature of the conflict and the nature it's what's going on today. The one who doesn't read the history, he cannot understand the current and the future situation in any region, in any country in the world. So please, when you talk about these things, you need to know deeply about these things. As you know, the minority in Yemen, as a Jewish community in Yemen, they have been existed in all villages, in all area, in all towns in Yemen. Then they have been forced to be immigrated. I can give you links for many Jewish,
Forced
Yemeni
to
Jewish.
be immigrated. Do you want to try a word for that?
Actually, to be
How-
fair, you
how-
said you give
how-
links. Can you
how
provide them in the chat,
they
please?
explain
Sorry, what are you
Everyone to
saying?
to Israel. I can give you a
You're not
video.
telling the truth about Yemen is being Jewish. Actually, Roman Empire was invading Yemen for a long time, and there is absolutely no evidence that the Yemeni were Jewish people. Just I don't know why you're making those stories.
Let me, if you talk about something from your mind, I think I can talk something
It's different
on the
from
ground.
everyone else, right? So provide the links, please. You said you would provide links, so the chat is open to all. And if you would like to provide links, please, I think this will help your discussion.
I'm providing, I can put all kinds of links about the expulsion
Let me,
and
let me,
Operation Magic
let
Carpet.
me-
It was
let me just-
1949,
Provide all the
1950.
links. Everybody
Okay,
provide the links.
here
This
you
is
go.
a repository.
let me,
I don't mind.
Then there was
listening
a
to
secret
them.
operation, if you'd
Please
like,
go with that.
if you'd like to know about the secret operation in 2016, where they got the last remaining Jews out of Yemen and saved them.
what if I told you Judaism started from Yemen? Or okay, let me ask
that's
you,
not true.
from where do you think, from where do you think, no, in your belief, from where,
Provide the links, because
Okay,
that's
let
a
me-
posture.
let me
So
let me ask you a
are gonna
question.
Continue to posture,
Please,
please provide the links.
I would like to ask you a simple question. From where do you think the start point of Judaism? Give me the place, give me the land. Thank you.
You're asking me that question?
Yeah,
Where
please.
Judaism started? Do you want me to
Yeah.
talk about Abraham? Or where do you want me to go? You want me to?
The place,
How far
the land,
the
the land, the land.
Religious
What the
books.
fuck
From
does that have to
Europe,
do with-
from Europe.
What are we doing?
What does that have to do with the Houthis that control about 70%, where you said it's just a little group of people, about 70% of the population, 1/3 of the country? What does that have to do with their right to shoot missiles at Israel and at American vessels? What in the world? How could you possibly justify what is coming out of Yemen right now and your disdain for the United States and your disdain for Jews? But it's already clear, and I'll put all the links about Operation Magic Carpet. It was a very famous story of saving these from persecution and what was happening in Yemen. But you want to talk about like the book of Genesis, or do you want to talk about like why the population in Yemen thinks it's okay to kill Americans and Israelis?
Did you
Once
Please,
they
please stop
take
speaking as
their
if
orders.
and we
They're
can have
taking their
actual
orders
discussion.
from Islamic regime. That's the only thing you could just say. They're taking their orders from Islamic regime. There are a bunch of terrorists and Ansarullah, and they trying to just make a chaos in the region. So Houthis are just puppets of the Islamic regime. And they did the same thing. The Islamic regime did the same thing with the Jewish people in Iran. We had a big population of Jewish people in Iran, and they forced them. They destroyed their houses. They destroyed their kinisa. They tried to close their stores, and they did everything they could do just to get rid of these Jewish people in Iran. And we are ashamed of it. And the government did that. And the Houthis are the same thing. They're puppets of the Iranian regime. Same as Hezbollah.
My friend, I'm asking you logically, which is near from me, the land of Iran or the land of United States? Who is coming to us, or who us or going to United States to bother and disturb United States? Who's into the others? For me, Iran.
American servicemen. You're vessels. That is American. What part? You think you have to be on our soil and come actually into New York
Now,
to shoot
when you
people?
say
You're shooting.
They would do if they could. We see
Yeah.
this is not about why we are neighbors or not.
when we say
We
Middle
do not want
when we say-
Islamic regime.
when we talk
do
about-
not want a Sharia. We do not want a authoritarian power. We want to have a democracy. We want to have a Western style democracy. And we see Western countries that are growing. They have prosperity. They have the security. They have human rights. Their citizens have obey the law, and the law protects their citizens. That's what we want. We do not want to have anything with the fanatics or Islamic Sharia. We want to get rid of these people.
Now, I
They
need
have-
to ask
I don't
you.
know what you're talking
ask
about
you-
because your neighbor
I need
have
to ask you
follow
simple question.
one religion, which is destroying everything in this region. Look at our country. Our country was a richest and prosperous country. Now 80% of people are getting their food stamps. The richest country in
Where are you-
the region.
where are you from?
So
Where are you from?
I'm a proud Iranian American. I lived in this country for many years, and I love the Constitution. I love the Western values, liberal, the classic liberalism. Love the way I've been treated in this country, and I love the laws. I love what I see,
Finally.
and I want the same thing. Don't disrupt the 1 second. And I want the same thing for my country. I don't want to have less. I don't want to live like a barbaric people. I don't want to have enemies. I want to have friends. I want to be able to go to other countries. My people want to go to other countries like it was 45 years ago. This is what we want. We do not want to have anything with Islamic Sharia or Islamic power or Islamic regime. We want democracy. That's what we want. And the most Iranian, 80% of Iranian, just a few months ago, a couple of months ago, they did not participate in the election because they don't believe in Islamic regime. That's all I have to tell you, my friend. It's not about neighborhood. It's about our benefits, what we want for our country, what we want for our people.
So, Fardin, could you please clarify for me to be with you when you say your country? Which is your country? Where are you from, please?
I told you I was born in Iran.
Okay, so you speak as Iranian who's against Iran regime and supporting United States and supporting Israel in the region. Yeah, is that correct?
I support my people, and I don't see the United States as my enemy or Israel as my enemy. What I see as my enemy is the Islamic regime. A bunch of
I
mullahs.
think
they
he's speaking
destroyed my
as
country.
a refugee of the current situation.
I'm not
That's how
a
I read
I'm
it.
a citizen of the United States.
Yeah.
government.
I'm not either. I'm a citizen of the United States. I just happen to be born in Iran.
Now, I would like to ask you, Yemen, Iran, example, are they included in the Middle East as a political term? Is the United States is included in the term which is used by the Americans themselves, Middle East, is it included in the Middle East region? Could you clarify for me this one?
Is what included?
Yemen, Iran, are they included among the term of Middle East? When you say Middle East, does that mean Yemen, geographical land, and Iran, geographical land? Is it included in Middle East?
Well, we
Yeah,
talk
what
about
is
the
the
Gulf,
point?
the Gulf region. We talk about the Middle East, the Gulf region.
Yes, Gulf region, Gulf states,
I'm answering the
Iran,
question. We have different
Yemen.
terms for it. We have different terms for it. We call it, it matters, you know, who you're talking to. A lot of people call it the Gulf region. If you're talking more about the Levant and you're talking about the area in the Levant, you're talking more about Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. If you're talking about the Gulf region, you're over where Saudi is. There's parts of North Africa that get included in it. Egypt usually gets thrown into that mix, although it's in Africa. So it's just a generic term that people use when describing that whole area. It still doesn't answer the question why you think it's okay to shoot rockets at U.S. citizens and U.S. facilities.
My friend, when you
You're not my friend if you're
something,
shooting at
when you,
US troops. You're not my,
it's before we discuss something happened just last year. This action you talk about attacking the military base and attacking military interest in the region from Yemen, from Houthi army group. It's just happened about 1 year. But you need to discuss what Bush or what supported, what created this situation to reach this level. It is a good question from Madame Mariam.
Yeah, let's just
She was
assume that,
asking,
let's just assume America created it. America,
do you think the stupidity and the bad, not accepted politics that United States has been doing in the world, example, the 20 years in Afghanistan and the impact of this 20 years,
is this a troll,
the engagement,
to stop
the
people from
engagement,
having conversations?
the,
Is that what your point is here? Because you haven't shut the fuck up ever since you started talking. You obviously don't want to have conversations because you're not engaging with anybody. You want to make statements and ask questions, but you don't answer anyone else's questions. This isn't a conversation. This is either a filibuster or some sort of unwelcome monologue.
and
Yeah,
secondly-
I just came up to say the
Yeah.
same thing. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
Chris, go ahead. Why don't you? I'm just gonna leave it with, if you hate America that much, you might want to just throw away that cell phone because Apple, I think, is a US company. Go ahead.
No, I agree with Kelly. I just came up to say the same thing. It's not bi-directional conversation. It's just monologue and not answering any questions, asking questions is trolling.
To add on to what Chorus is saying, and I think the sentiment is being intellectually honest and challenging what you know. And to be intellectually honest and really explore what you know, you need to add resistance to it. And so if you're willing to explore that, Amin, then I implore you to challenge what you know, because there are a bunch of people on stage that obviously have an adversarial point of view to a point. And this is a great opportunity to explore that.
I think he's gone. Oh no, he's here. Never mind.
what I see in the ground, the impact results for the United States politics and how they manage the situation in the region. It's bringing a conflict to create another conflict. Example, the invasion and the military operation against Iraq.
You know what they hate is not just the land of America or American citizen. It's the idea of America. The idea of America tells, hey, your woman shouldn't walk 5 feet behind you. The American idea tells, hey, your woman doesn't have to cover herself. The American idea tells, hey, a woman has a right to vote, a woman has a right to be governor, has to be right to be a judge. That's what they hate. It's not just the land of America or it's just the power of America. It's the idea of America. That's what they hate. And this is what you see in our beautiful country, Iran, by mullahs. They hate the idea of America. It's not just the land or the people.
Exactly. They also, the same person that we're listening to also doesn't just shoot at American vessels and American troops, but shoots missiles into the United Arab Emirates and into Saudi. And they did very big destruction in the UAE a couple of years ago because they're modernizing and they're not accepting this archaic way of living. So we're not the only enemy.
I have
Anyone
a question.
goes into modernity.
My question is, why did Amin get kicked down to the bottom of the room?
I have no
Because he
idea.
was the point of discussion. And I thought we had hit a crux at some point where we may have actually had a sense of real intellectual thought.
I'm not interested in intellectual thought. I'm interested in conversation, something that is participated in by both the speaker and the people being forced to listen. And once we established that that was what we expected, he didn't even engage.
Kelly, I've known you for a long time. I've been in several rooms with you over the years. And I felt like this was the beginning. It might have gotten drawn out too long. But that's just my thought. Because he was talking and then immediately got kicked. And it would have been nice to see if he had any change of perspective.
He's not
He
changing.
literally started repeating what he had been saying when I muted him to tell him he needed to engage in conversation. So I appreciate that the pushback here, but there are a bunch of people that were having a conversation that are here to have a conversation. And in the same way, when there's a bad fucking employee at a job, if the boss doesn't can that person, everybody else suffers. The people that are here to have the conversation get.
I can't disagree with you there.
I mean, this is possibly not the best start after a statement like that because everyone is really quiet. But
this guy, I mean, was like tape recorder. I mean, it's useless to discuss with him. Anything you say, I mean, doesn't change his mind and his logic is flawed, you know. He doesn't have a logic. And his information is wrong, mostly.
Yeah, I mean, like saying the Houthis are just a little group. We have another.
Most Yemenis were Jewish years ago or centuries ago.
Right.
That was a lie.
I mean, I just put in the chat, they actually got the last one out. I remember reading the story, and it was 2 years ago, there was one left in the whole country. But I mean, I didn't want to derail just on that issue, but he was false on what he was saying, and you're not moving him, you're not convincing him. But when we have another guy that comes in the rooms all the time, Soren, that does the same thing. And we're not changing his mind, but he's like a broken record on this stuff.
well, the difference is there's at least a conversation to be had, even if it's the same one over and over. But yeah, I mean, given the circumstances, I commend the tenacity, and I'll leave it at that. I mean, this isn't an issue that I'm living within. Like, I obviously have some understanding of it, but
To be fair and pile on just a little bit here, it was Amin. At one point, you did posture that you had links, and I started with, well, if you have the links, produce the links. So at least that's a foundation so we understand where you're coming from. And those were not produced. So why would you say that?
well,
What wasn't produced by him? I was putting stuff in the chat.
No, you were, and I said his name specifically because he was the one that said that he would produce links. And then I called him out on it, and he did not.
what was the discussion before he came up?
Iran. Get wrong. Iran.
You don't have to say sorry.
No, I live in a state that everyone mispronounces the way to say it, and we always correct people, so I'm sorry.
Okay. I spent 30 minutes getting aggravated earlier because we were trying to have, and it was a really good conversation earlier today, can't remember. And I swear, every 30 seconds, somebody interrupted and said, don't call it Iran, call it Islamic Republic, or call it this, or call it that. And I finally said, look, I get it. Everybody hates the Islamic Republic of Iran or the regime in Iran, but we're trying to have a conversation. If it slips out of somebody's mouth and they say Iran, just go with it and squeeze an orange if it's pissing you off that much, or punch a wall. But
To be fair, like it's an age gap as well, depending on
What-
where you grew up in the world
Thank you.
and
What?
where things came
Oh, you mean the
from.
translation? You mean the
Yeah,
Exactly.
pronunciation, I have a Philly accent, and I'm of a
I
certain
thought you
age.
were talking about me and what I was saying.
No,
but you said it on-
nothing about you
No.
specifically.
It
It's
was,
just
it's exactly what Jay's saying. I have a Philly accent, and my age group, we never said, we said Iran. It was always pronounced that way. I live in Nevada, and people always say Nevada, and we're constantly correcting them. So, I think it's like where you're from and what you're at.
and this is a global app, to be fair, and we do have people from all over the world here, so we need to be at least mindful that we have a global perspective, which is better than most other apps on the internet.
No, that's a good point. And here's the thing. You know, listen, I don't want to have a conversation about that young man, but frankly, if he wanted to have a conversation like that is interesting. And from my point of view, maybe not others. Everybody comes into these rooms and has these conversations for different reasons, but that's how I learn. That's how that the pieces of information that I have in my head can be kind of fits together when I hear someone who is talking about what everything looks like from their end. And so I welcome that, but there has to, first of all, it has to be in good faith, and second, there are no special guests in here, so it has to be a 2-way or a 15-way conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, you've always in popcorn style, and I employ you for that because that's more my style of communication. But every now and then a moderator does need to be heavy-handed, so I respect both types of discourse.
It is all Mariam's fault.
This is true.
I like to get the gold star where it's due. So what part of it is my fault so I can get that gold star? Where's
Everything.
the sticker?
Everything.
Everything? Okay, then.
What did you
So
cook
should we-
tonight?
Well,
What did you
no,
do
we're not.
tonight,
No
Mariam?
food. No food. It's been too long of a day. I refuse to put up with food. Should we do squares for when something will happen? Like when people give birth, or the way they do for play.
Or when Iran is finally going to respond and do
Yeah.
whatever the hell they're going to do, so we can move on with our lives.
Yeah.
Let me give you my.
I swear to God, I feel like I'm in deja vu. Like Groundhog Day. I'm not trying to diminish what's going on. Please. Nobody. I'm not diminishing the gravity of the situation, but you have to admit there's a level of Groundhog Day in this that I don't know. Maybe that's just the way I cope with it because I don't know how else to deal with it.
I mean, if you can't acknowledge how ridiculous this very serious thing seems to always, the ridiculous way it always plays out, if you can't acknowledge that, I don't know, it makes it hard to take control over the situation.
Exactly. I mean, and it,
I'm just saying something. I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
I'm going to respond to something you said, Jake. I just want to make sure that you understand something. Okay.
There's lots to understand in this world.
Well, you said something, and I was a little confused, so I'm just going to ask you what you meant. What was the refugees?
Oh, way back then, yeah. So
Oh, okay.
the posturing of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up in San Francisco, California, and we have a huge Iranian population that bought up a huge chunk of the city. And at that point in time, when all of them came, there was political turmoil inside of Iran. And so what happened was there was a huge emigration to the United States. A lot of them landed in the port city, San Francisco. They brought their wealth with them, and they chose to have a better life in San Francisco, United States. Whether or not they were refugees from politics or things of that nature.
Correct. I am the offspring of one of those people that came in 1979, actually, and we did come with a great deal of wealth, and we happened to be in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills, and we bought that town too.
What I'm saying is though, we're not referred to as refugees.
Well,
We're-
sure, but that's
we're
that's
American.
that's an internal cultural perspective that I might not be privy to, but as an objective to the conversation, I mean, it's like refugee can be used in loose terms
Wait.
and strict terms, and that is a language
Can I-
perspective.
No, we came
Right.
here on our own accord. We weren't, the
Right.
United States government wanted us here. They rolled out the red carpet. They gave us political asylum. They wanted us here.
Now,
They still
take
do.
it from somebody
Yeah.
who grew up in San Francisco, born an orphan, and looks at the world in an objective space, and like, these are the neighbors that I grew up with and went to school with, and this is their history, and I'm learning English language at the same speed they are because we're all kids and we grew up together. And so I have things at face value, and I take things from their perspective, I take things from my perspective, I take things from other cultures' perspective.
But the
And so-
term refugee is an incorrect one.
I mean,
That's all. It's not.
sure, if in our
We didn't
personal
take
communication
refuge.
I will agree to this, and I.
And you know
can
what's also
appreciate
interesting too is that when we came at that time, it's interesting, when we came at that time, at that era, that Carter was president, we didn't intend to stay here more than 5 or 6 years until this thing blew over. We had no intentions of staying here as long as we did. We're quite happy in our own countries.
I can't
we
speak
weren't
for
taking-
my friend's parents or anything of that nature, so I'm gonna have to take your word for that.
Yeah, and my dad held his TWA ticket back to Tehran for 14 years.
Oh,
He
wow.
wanted to go back to his
That's,
country.
That's a very personal story. I
Well,
appreciate
The
hearing
one
stuff
we
like
remove
that.
now, is this from the democracy, freedom to remove someone because
Respectfully, I mean, so here, hold on, here's your first lesson in American government. This isn't it.
American government. Woo.
Yeah, Clubhouse isn't the
It's kind
American
of like an
government.
olive.
You don't,
Would we
yeah,
say
you don't,
we're an
let me just confirm this. You do not have freedom of speech. This is not a democracy. This is a social media app.
I think it's an oligarchy.
Okay, to have fun with the conversation, remember the scene from 300 where he kicked the messenger into the circle, into the big hole? Instead of this is Sparta, this is Clubhouse. You kicked in the hole.
I want my yacht too. Does anyone know where our yachts are? 'Cause
I don't know, but we're
Oligarchs.
And one more thing too, Jay, I don't know why I feel like I just wanna kind of share this with you, because you seem like you have a genuine interest. Those of us who came here, our parents particularly, they're very happy in Iran. They came reluctantly. My parents didn't even know English. My mom didn't speak English at 30. She'd never been in like a big department store or anything like that. We were completely uprooted. Right, but we also had something that's very different from the other immigrants, is that we assimilated. You may notice or you may not, but all of us who came here from Iran, we all assumed American names. Nadine became Nikki, Morbury became Mimi, Soraya became Susan. We all assimilated as much as we could to fit into the American culture. This is something I don't see among immigrants today. But we were like that.
The Mimi, Sarah, the Mimi for the, I'm sorry.
And the one.
No.
What an obligation to
American
change.
names, yeah,
I
we
mean,
assumed
to
American
be
names.
fair,
wanted to
Does
be accepted.
America have a culture?
Is a yes, America
it does,
is a
absolutely
melting
it
pot
does.
of a culture. We actually have microcultures within the larger understanding of a culture. Like, I'm from San Francisco, and even from somebody in California down in LA, we have slightly different cultures and different mannerisms and the way we go about each other. But I guarantee that if it came down to an underlying issue, the higher level of thinking would prevail, because to be honest, like, our problems should not be our children's problems. And that's one of those underlying issues in the United States that we all address but doesn't get talked about much, but is a very real thing. Like, our parents, our grandparents, they fought battles so we don't have to. And we carry that idea with us. So yes, the United States has culture.
And one more thing I'd like to say, thank you, Jerry, for explaining everything about Iranian people. Iranian people are one of the most
I explained
successful
nothing about Iranian
minority.
people. I'm
Iranian
just an
people,
objective observer.
one second, my friend. Iranian people who live in the United States are one of the most successful minorities in the United States. You could check it up and you would see I could say almost 70% of Iranian people are citizens of this country. They have highest job. They are very successful in the making money and very, you seldom see them as crooked or criminals in the jails. I mean, this minority try to create this United States.
I've seen
Try
all
to
the
create the United
sectors.
States.
Jay, hold on, Jay. We gotta let people in.
I'm sorry, I
Let's
think
let
I
him in.
have the time to, let me mute myself, maybe I'll catch up.
Fardeen, was that you speaking? If it was, go ahead. I wasn't looking at.
No, I just finished. I just want to say we fit in this country. We feel very comfortable with our friends, our neighbors, our neighborhood, with the society. We will obey the law. We love the Constitution. We love the idea of America. We want the same thing for our people, and we are successful. We don't like to break. I mean, I'm not going to say 100% of Iranians are perfect. But I have to say at least 80% of them, they're a good citizen of this country. They are successful and they obey the law. And that's very, very good for America to see such a minority comes from the country, from chaos, and they try to make a living. They try to pursue their happiness. They try to have liberty. They try to find a good thing for their children. I mean, that's what we want. We don't want anything else. I see some of this. I'm not going to say talk about other minorities, but one of the things that makes us a good citizen is because the people came here. They actually are not religious. They're not Islamic fanatics, or we ran away from that. And that's makes us to be treated here good. I mean, I could just babble about it all day, but that's all I have to say. We love this country. You have so many soldiers. I have friends, Iranian friends that serve in the army or Marines, or we don't have no problem to defend the constitution of this country and to defend this country. This is our country.
Really,
I
have a question for you.
Really
You
quickly,
think
Jay, hold on.
part of the
Hold your question 2
success-
seconds. Hold your question 2 seconds. I want to say hello to the other Jay. Now go ahead, Jay.
Okay, sure. My question is, do you think that part of the success of the United States, the way that you're proposing, is that we do have the separation of church and state, and that religion is part of our culture, but also at least attempted to be kept out of politics?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's what the Constitution says. Freedom of religion. I mean, I do not have to obey any religion in this country. I could go and praise, I don't know, anything. I could go praise a stone or rock or, I don't know, Jesus or Moses or anything. Nobody would tell me what to pray, and that's what people like.
So outside of the law, though, like, don't you think that, so the law is not meant to like enforce religion, but the culture is going to take aspects of it, and it's not just one. Like a lot of the aspects that seem to be related to Christianity probably cross into a whole lot of other realms. Like they would be represented in other places, but I think the culture is where that should wind up, not in the law, outside of the gate.
Can I also please clarify that we have in our Constitution, it's two-sided. We we enforce the right to practice whatever religion you want to practice. We don't infringe upon that practice. So when you say the separation of church and state, there is a separation, but there is also the other side of the coin that we will not do anything to infringe upon the practice. The country is also built on Judeo-Christian ethics, and those ethics are very much permeating within our Constitution and within our society. And our founders were deists, and it was very important to them to have God as part of our Constitution and our foundation. So there is a form of deistness, I'm set, if that's a word, within our society.
So I'm
This is not
curious,
an atheist country. I'm
Well-
going to answer it.
So when people talk about the separation of church and state, I think that there's like a thing that pops into their head, and it has to do with like them personally, which I think fundamentally it boils down to, but and I don't I think that this is true.
It's
I'm not
guidance
sure.
principles, Kelly.
Okay,
Jay,
And we
Jay,
try to keep it apart.
Jay, respectfully, you're gonna have to stop interrupting people, okay? So I'm not positive that this is true, but I've heard an example of how this works in basically government. One example of it is the church shouldn't have a voice to influence the government. So it boils down to things like that in many ways. Would you say that that is true?
Or you were asking?
Abby.
I'm sorry, I was reading something about Cory Bush. What did you say?
One of the separation of church and state, and like I said, I've heard this used as an example of how it manifests like in our like local governments or just in government generally, outside of how it would impact us individually, and it's things like I under.
That is one dumb bitch. Alright, we're gonna see if Adrian Dittman is live on Twitter, and then I'm gonna go to the gym. Yep, he's live. Dittman is live.
True. Good point.
I think we kind of saw that in the early days where there were like memory constraints and like the physical constraints, right?
Yeah, and code got so sloppy as soon
people-
as they solved those.
Yeah, like we literally sent people on to the moon, right? With pretty much nothing, right? No, pretty much no computational ability, and now like Google Chrome alone uses more, with like not a single tab opened up. Yeah, well, our code got super sloppy afterwards.
Yeah, it's like because it doesn't matter, right? Think about the other world where, let's say the code still wasn't sloppy and people spent a lot of time optimizing and they took a lot longer to ship it, and then your computer was sitting there with a bunch of empty RAM. What would be the point of that?
Yeah.
That's the same analogy for like the Tesla FSD. People keep looking at the chip and thinking it's going to run out of space. It's using all of the chip space already. It's like, no, Tesla's optimizing just enough to ship it. Why waste any more time and money optimizing it further? It doesn't make any sense. James Domo was talking about that exactly.
So software optimizations, we barely scratch the surface, right?
I mean, we know what to do. It just doesn't make sense to continue to optimize models if, like, it's not like in a server world, the more you compress the model, the less server machines you need, so you can actually host and serve more queries per second, right? But in a client world, the car is not going to suddenly become 2 cars because you've compressed the model into half. It's still the same car.
So would it not be beneficial to would it not then be beneficial to actually compress the model but ship with weaker hardware?
Weak with what?
Weaker hardware, but ship with a more compressed model.
That's hardware 3 versus hardware 4.
So there's also
Yeah, but
there's also like hardware 2.5 apparently got an FSD update.
Yeah, all it takes is time to compress it, right? There's people out there that would have you believe that hardware 4 is now necessary. Like I think I heard Chuck and Machine talk about this, and it's like anybody who's afraid of that doesn't understand how terribly sparse AI really is.
So my understanding is hardware 4 is just running hardware 3 in emulation as of
Not with 12.5.
Oh, okay, not the 12.5. Okay.
But that makes sense, right? Before, it wouldn't have made sense to ship a hardware 4 specific model because there wasn't enough cars. Now there's enough cars, there's enough coverage where it says, okay, we can ship our initial versions, the lab, if you will, to these cars. Keep iterating quickly, and then when that thing is good, every now and then just ship an update to all the other cars. So some people might be like, oh, I have to wait. It's like, well, at least you're not in Europe.
That's great.
Yeah, it's getting pretty good. Like I see a lot of people are complaining, but I was just looking at even like all the metrics I disagree with, but if you look at them, like right now, Illinois on the FSD beta tracker is the state with the most miles. It's 833 miles between disengagement for critical disengagement. That's a lot, right? That's like once a month. And people are looking at like averages and everything. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like this argument that keeps coming up that like, if Tesla starts emitting data, California law requires them to start emitting, like then would then say, oh, let's say you're trying to go for L3 or L4. You must now report every location and what happened there, right? And you could do the Waymo thing where you like write a generic sentence, which is what Waymo's doing, but the location data has been given out. Unlike every other company, Tesla giving out location data is a big disadvantage because then when Waymo, let's say, you know, in California, Waymo's not in Sacramento. If they just give out all the intersections that they're having difficulty with, then when Waymo goes to Sacramento, they'll be like, hey, I know exactly what intersections to go train on. They don't waste any time catching up.
Yes.
That's such a big disadvantage. But if Tesla fixes all those things first, and then comes out and says, okay, we're ready to launch in California, then their competition doesn't know where to go. They have to actually run the race themselves.
Yes.
That's a very important piece of information.
Yeah, it's an argument I've been trying to articulate but failing. So hopefully you can do it better.
This is how you beat. So basically, so help me understand this. The simple aspect is the competition would win if they basically declared that their thing is of a certain level. So by law, you're required to basically give all kinds of data associated with this thing, because by law, you're required to at a certain level. So they're intentionally staying at a lower level than they're actually technically capable of to not give the competition an advantage, because then you'll understand, yes, here's what the issues are. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I'll spread that around. That's the instant random definition. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to explain this to the bears in their spaces multiple times. Right? They'll be like, why do you care about the level? And why did I say L4 capable? I explained this before, like, that whole, like, debacle. I was like, you gotta understand what the levels are.
I think you know what.
Yeah, because
I think I know who you're talking about. It's like this Grant Belton guy who says that autonomy is not real, and then he says it's of a certain level. I'm like, you have to choose. Either autonomy is real or it's not real, because as soon as you say it's of a certain level, then it obviously exists. Otherwise, it wouldn't have a level.
Exactly. But also people think of it like you go from one level to the next, and that's not true, right? Waymo never did level 2. Waymo never did level 3. They just started at level 4, right? Arguably, they're going to stay at level 4. But they never did level 2 or level 3. They never did level 1, right? They never had a cruise control. And Tesla can go from 2 to try for 5, probably 4, right? Because I've also explained this before. 5 and 3 only exist to define the boundaries of 4. Like it's really like what is not 4. It's more of like 5 is what is not 4.
Yeah, you don't want the people that are competing against you to get like a second mover advantage, you know? After you've done all the research and development,
Exactly.
putting in all the money, they come in and just take all your hard work.
And Waymo's actually
Yeah.
been really critical about this too to California. They're like, this is ridiculous. It's stupid that we have to give you we have to publish every piece of information. And they've made it clear that like we'd be open to giving it to a public entity, but then the public entity has to be responsible for keeping it secure. Why are you making us publish it? Like, make us publish aggregate information maybe, but I mean, when Waymo comes out and says it, nobody complains. But if Tesla were to say this disengagement data is stupid, they'd be like, oh no, Tesla's lying.
Yeah, so why do you think it is that Llama is struggling with languages, but like Claude and Google and ChatGPT, they're not struggling with other languages?
I can only theorize that it has to do with what they're prioritizing. If you have only so much like to train a better language, you have to distribute more tokens to compute. If you want to spend less money to make your model a little bit more affordably, like let's say you're giving it away for free, you might choose what you focus on. For example, and this has been an accusation of Llama, if you know what eval sets you're going to compete on, you only train for those eval sets. And then you say, hey, look, it's great. And a lot of those eval sets are English.
Right.
This is why Llama doesn't do well on the ELO scores, right? Like that's the best way to figure this out, right? Like ELO scores. Just use it without knowing what UI it is. You know, obviously UI is a preferential thing that people should consider, but if you just want to know what the best model is, use something that hides the UI from you. You don't know which model you're using.
Yeah.
It randomly gives you 2 results or gives you results and you just rate the results. Constantly rate the results. And then eventually you'll be like, this model is actually the model you like better.
Yeah, but it is, those seem like they're kind of being gamified a bit.
You can't gamify the ELO score.
Right. I mean, they're getting higher than ChatGPT 4.0 Mini is getting like a higher score than Claude 3.5 Sonnet,
Yep.
and that does not seem realistic to me.
I think it's because of the kind of things you probably do with it, right? I think if you were using the models, not knowing which model you were using, you would want to talk to them more naturally. And probably the way you talk to Claude, you adjust the way you speak to it because you're used to talking to Claude.
Right. Okay.
So the idea is,
And you would talk to
the
them.
idea is like if you started from a space of I don't want to adjust my manner of speaking, I just want to say what it's not in my mind originally. Which model's doing better? ELO scores are going to be the best way.
Right.
It's the fairest competition.
But then
right?
you also have to consider that some model it would perform significantly better if you were to prompt it correctly. Right.
In theory, all models would perform better if you were to prompt it correctly. You could just say repeat after me.
Right. Yeah, but my point is maybe if you're talking to it normally, right? Maybe you figured out tricks to prompt Claude properly.
I disagree.
Right.
I think that is counterintuitive to the actual goal. That's like, like saying, oh, I went on to Google and I just didn't use the right keywords. It's like, well, you shouldn't have to know that, right? Like that shouldn't be a skill. Humans didn't evolve to learn that skill. And I think that's what we're seeing with like these models, right? Like people prefer to talk naturally. The more natural the speech feels, the better, right? People actually like models, like speech models, that you can interrupt, that you can hum and haw, you can say the wrong words, and you can kind of finish your sentences like we do with a human.
Yeah, but my preference is how can I get the best result possible?
That's a short-term preference.
Even
right? Like the longer term, your preference is how can I get the best result possible with the least amount of effort? Exactly.
Yes, but as of right now, I think that because we don't have that yet, it's better to pick something that you have to prompt.
That's true. I mean, did you see the OpenAI JSON stuff that they're doing?
Yeah, I saw that.
What do you think of that?
Honestly, I'm not an AI developer, so I don't know the big importance of I mostly do like backend stuff, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, do you have an opinion on it?
Do you want to rephrase your question? I'll try and see if I can answer.
So what exactly is the significance of it, do you think?
I think the significance is the poetry example I just gave. The more constraints
Right.
you give something, the better it can perform. So, if you can constrain the input from the speaker, you can actually train a different model that performs better for that specific thing. So you go from AGI to ASI without really telling people that you're doing that. Which could reduce your compute costs.
Yeah. Are we talking about the thing that some Ultimate
Yes.
released today?
Yes.
With the API, right?
Yes. So like with the API and it always responding in JSON format, you've now constrained what you have to train it to do. It no longer has to necessarily write poems. It just has to respond with JSON objects. So my guess is if you asked it to write poems in JSON format, it would be worse than if you asked the model. It's easier, arguably, to answer with structured output than freeform.
Right.
Because now every time you want to talk to the model, you have to say, this is the format in which I expect you to give an answer. Here are all the possible valid enums and protocol buffers.
Kind of like how they were doing it in the early days, where they were like, give me step by step, right?
Yeah, it's like if you were writing an exam and it was multiple choice, or you were writing an exam and it was like, write an essay. Which one's easier to study for?
Right. The multiple choice, obviously.
Yeah, so like structured JSON output, it's a very large space of multiple choice.
Right.
So I'm just saying, like, it's smart to say, let's look at our generic service, see what's popular, and make specific AI for that, and move people over to using that specific AI, because then we can use a smaller model, reduce our serving cost. Like, all the discussions about AI is irrelevant without a discussion of cost, right? And there's a competition happening where OpenAI reduced their pricing and then Google cut their pricing to half of that.
Yes. And now they're competing on. It's about giving the best model for the lowest price.
Exactly.
Right. So now that we're getting this situation where we figured out that actually feeding them more data about lots of different things makes them better at reasoning in general, or other tasks in general. Do you still think that we're still going to have specialized AIs, or is it still because the specialized AIs would be more power efficient, right?
Yeah.
But wouldn't this, in theory, make general AIs more like proficient in whatever they're in that task itself?
No, I think I even said this in I don't know if it was this space or another space in the past, but I've never been of the belief that AGI is the right solution. I don't want my doctor to be a really good engineer. I want my doctor to be a really good doctor. I want my engineer to be a really good engineer. For the same chip space and the same brain, I would rather they just be really good at that one thing. Would it be better for us if Elon was the greatest singer in the world? Should we be criticizing him for like his singing capabilities, or should we just be like, thank God he's not a great singer. Those neurons are going to engineering.
But my question would be if let's say we find out that actually the AI being a great engineer is actually somehow productive to it being a good doctor.
Oh yeah, so
Would that not?
so you do want it to be the best doctor possible. So you have it learn things while you continue to grade it on how good of a doctor it is. So you have your doctor go learn how to dance, and it's like, oh, the stability of the doctor now makes it a better surgeon. Cool. We're only going to reward the things that help you become a better doctor. So after a certain point of becoming a good dancer, all the rest of the neurons don't really help. So it's like, okay, well, that's great. There's a doctor that's a no dancer, there's a doctor that's a bit of a dancer, and then there's a doctor that's the world's greatest ballet dancer. Probably the middle is where you want to be.
Right. So you still want to train it for whatever is making it best for that task.
Exactly. So
even if it's others.
that's why you in colleges we require people to take a broad spectrum of courses because it helps with education.
Liberal arts, yeah.
A broad spectrum of liberal arts.
Remember that snippet at Silicon Valley where he went after a billionaire on the doing like his speech, and like at the end he couldn't get his attention, so he said, if you don't listen to me, I'll go to college. And then right away he let him do the pitch.
That's hilarious. I mean, people bag on college a lot, but I hate to say it, like as much as people hate on college, a lot of the people who say you don't need to go to college went to college.
No, I agree. I mean, like I personally think that it gives a nice, like when you're just, and especially if you go to college at, proper age, like certain age, early age, I guess, it actually gives you a nice horizon, like a little bit of everything, like stimulate different parts of your brain, see what what you're good at and what actually interests you. So I think there are like some benefits to it because
I think the problem is the idea of taking on crazy debt to go to college for something completely useless. That's a different story, right? Like that I don't think anybody should be shocked. It's like I spent 7 figures getting a poli-sci degree and I can't find any job. Well, I don't think anybody who was even 16 thought that was a bad idea or a good idea.
At the same time, keep in mind, someone like myself hasn't seen the inside of an educational facility since fucking kindergarten, where I was kicked from because I was weird. So, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like you don't need either of that. I don't. But that just depends on the human being, I suppose.
Yeah, it can have its benefits.
It has its benefits.
It can have its benefits.
But with those benefits, if you want to be truly exceptional, you truly wanted to do something as revolutionary or like out of the ordinary, you need to separate what is ordinary about you from what is the thing that you actually want to do. It's like diverting a lot of attention towards a particular thing, right? And
yeah, but you probably had teachers, right?
I was so.
Did you have teachers like trade schools or like mentors?
No. Aside from reading, I wasn't taught anything else. Aside from how to read, that's the only thing. Everything else is self-taught.
My problem with university was I had like this very shit computer science, for one of my classes, and his problem was. The problem I had with him was it wasn't that I didn't know or understand the topics he was teaching. He would literally just ask his questions in a way where no one in the class understood what the fuck he was asking.
I mean, universities are basically just like a giant book club, right? It's like a structured book club. If you have a great book club lead, it's awesome. If the person running the book club sucks, it's horrible.
Yeah. So in the class, he wouldn't answer the question. So he wouldn't explain to us what the fuck he was talking about in the question, right? He was like, "You guys should already know this shit." Right?
That's a good sign he didn't know his shit.
Professors. Most of your other professors are pussies.
Yeah, but
they don't want to teach you in a harsh way.
But I think
well, it's not that they don't.
It's a part. I think it's a part of the curriculum where you face bad teachers and you have to kind of persevere on your own in a way. So I think it's part of that learning experience how to deal with unpleasant people and persevere at the same time. So like some teachers actually literally did nothing. Like maybe just showed up. Like especially in the later semesters, they show up rarely, and you have a lot of work to do kind of on your own. And I think it kind of like adds on, I guess, to the experience.
Sure, but you shouldn't have to pay for that.
Yeah, true.
I got a little anecdotal story.
Also,
I think if you want unpleasant experiences, go to a Minecraft Discord server and try to socialize with PvPers. You're done. You're hooked. Anyways.
But it's not conductive to the real world either, though, right? Like if I'm having if I know the topic, but it's just this fucking retard has written it in a way where like none of the kids understand, and we're not allowed to discuss it with each other, right? And we're not able to ask him a question about it. This is not how it works in the real world.
Yeah, that's the worst part about university, right? It's like more of a grading and sorting than it is actual teaching.
Yeah. But it's like in the real world, if I'm having trouble, not even with the actual doing it itself, just like understanding the question itself, right? Or when I'm if it's like phrased in a weird way, I can go to someone else and I can be like, hey, what exactly am I supposed to be doing, right? Or what is this asking? It's not like, I sit down there. It's like I go to 90% of my brain is just trying to figure out what the fuck is written here, right? What it's asking me to do, right? Not even how do I solve this shit.
Yeah, I think a lot of subjects really should just be pass fail. It's like, are you good enough plumber? Yes or no? If you know how to be a plumber, that's probably good enough. You don't really need a point grade. Like, who's going out there to be like, I want the plumber who got a 90?
Now imagine how many plumbers are out there that are really good that don't have a degree. That's wild.
You don't need a degree.
My fucking hobbyist mechanic has 0 fucking degrees, has never seen the inside of an educational facility that teaches any of this, and somehow doesn't understand any of the names for any of the parts, but puts shit together like a fucking savant. He's cracked. I think part of the reason why he's cracked is because he never got his brain cooked in something like a university. Because if you're forced to basically think like shit, then eventually your thinking will turn to shit. You can't help it. It's impossible to deny. It's brainwashing. That's how it is. It's like when you have a certain person, imagine you clone a person, you let them grow up in one environment, and you have them grow up in another as well. You have the two. You compare the two, you see which one's the most successful. You can actually, if you use something like what I just told you, that experiment would effectively convey or confirm the same thing I just told you, right? Where if it's a shit environment, you're going to be a shitty person, right? Or if it's a somewhat shitty environment, but you're still exceptional enough and you want to get out of that environment, you've been told that there's an opportunity for you to get out. If you persevere, you become an exceptional person and you're probably the best we'd say in company, right? Because you struggle against the adversity, you beat the adversity, you've always been exposed to adversity, and you become the best leader because you understand that adversity in someone else and how to inspire them to keep going, regardless of that adversity, right? Which
I think university is also where you meet the most useless fucks.
Absolutely.
With projects, with your projects. Like if you were good at university, if you're like competitive, if you're like any of those things, you're automatically gonna kind of select. Like if you go get a job, especially if you get like a good one, you're gonna be selecting for like people that are also on that level, right? But in university, it's kind of like a free for all. And I've had like projects where I literally did 100% of them because the other kids literally did fucking nothing.
This reminds me of the army. It's similar how it works in the army. You have a guy who's really good at everything. They put him together with all the dumb fucks so that they somehow become not dumb fucks but as good as him, or at least somewhat. So the potential of the individual is evened out to shit. Or less shit.
I had a project.
I think you come to.
I had a project. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think you come to a decent analogy. Universities are like dictatorships. They're really fucking good or really terrible, and a lot of them are terrible.
Yeah.
I think they're
It's a
all
really big gamble.
Actually, no. I would refine that. I would refine that and say that yes, they're like dictatorships. They're all good in the beginning, but awful at the end, especially for you when you come out of them.
Maybe I think there's some niche programs that are obviously good, right? Like I don't think anyone's saying zero.
If you're taught,
Yeah.
if you're taught physics, also depends on the teacher, and there are not many good ones around anymore because the educational system has been fucked in the ass so many times. It's unbelievable. There's nothing there. It's a hot dog down the hallway at this point. Sorry. If you were like taught physics by Albert Einstein and Princeton, back then when he was still alive, you know that a lot of really capable people came from that time.
Some of my professors were actually really good. So I had like this one professor whose like grandfather was literally like a fucking billionaire, and he had like 4 degrees from MIT, and we were just like, well, why the fuck are you teaching?
You can still.
And he's like, I just like teaching.
You can still see like that impact today, right? Like Jeffrey Hinton, Ilya Sutskever, Alex. You know, a lot of people came out of learning from him. So I think there are still like these nuggets of professors, but the hard part, and this is the stupidest part, finding them before is hard.
Yeah. The thing is, they're also split out among universities, right? So even if you find like an amazing professor somewhere, it's you're not gonna find another amazing professor typically at the same university.
Yeah.
They're usually spread out among several. You know, there's some in MIT, some in Stanford, some in some fucking university you've never heard of for some reason. Like, you know, just because that no-name university was willing to offer the most money and, you know, whatever.
Dude, don't hate on the fucking University of North Muscogee, bruh. I don't even know if it's a real place or just made it up. If it's a real place, I swear to God. I'm a born geoguesser, I suppose. Right. Whoever's like the most next level geoguesser is the person who needs to train visual AI for like location finding. That'd be funny as fuck.
There's that guy on TikTok, he like within a split second can tell you everywhere.
Rainbows. Yeah, rainbows.
I like that, but magnitude, an order of magnitude slower. Like several orders of magnitude slower, actually.
Well, they got good at it by playing a game, right? Like a lot of those people that ask, like, how did they get so good? It's like, well, I just keep playing this game, and over time you get really good at it.
Well, they do a certain amount of study.
Yeah, but you can also get really good at things by just doing them. You know, our brains are amazing.
Yeah,
Just put 10,000 hours in, and you'll be really good at it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the thing is, it does still require a significant amount of study to speed up the process.
Sure, but
Right.
it's kind of interesting that 10,000 hours is like.
Study with stuff.
It's interesting because 10,000 hours then becomes like the token limit, right? Where it's like, it doesn't matter what you're trying to learn, as we're seeing with AI as well. Certain things, there's just a certain amount of data you need. It doesn't matter how you train it. You just need a certain amount of data.
Yes. Like language. Right? No matter how much you study a language, no matter how much the grammar you fucking do, how much you study it, unless you receive enough input, you're not going to become good at it.
100%. Even then. I just want something on. Fuck.
The bone of the steak.
You know, there is this.
What fucking bone is that? It's boneless, motherfucker.
There is this dude on YouTube who is like a white dude, and he comes to like Chinese places, and he speaks like a fluent Chinese, and everybody's freaks out.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I know that
So,
guy.
and I mean, does he just learn only a small segment? Because in the videos it appears that he can actually go in different topics. mix, you know.
No, so that guy is his Chinese is actually fluent.
Yeah. So and how
But I would not. As far as I've heard, the titles are definitely exaggerated, right? I don't speak any Chinese, but from the Chinese speakers I've shown the videos to, they say his Chinese is good, but it's definitely not the perfect he puts in the title.
Yeah, but he speaks this dialect, which is like a rare dialect. I forget what it's called, and
Shanghai.
Yeah, like it's an old Chinese basically, and even Chinese like with modern dialect, like surprised by that skill.
That sounds like I'd be walking up to you and start speaking in Elder English. Seems similar.
Yeah, it's like going to a Persian guy and then trying to speak in fucking Rumi quotes, Rumi poems, right? Sure, it's impressive, but that's not necessarily a sign of like you being able to speak the language.
Actually, fuck woman, you need to know how to speak like a retard and pull that off, and that's how you do it. Like,
yeah.
Do you think when you speak English, better still, let me pick German, because I absolutely hate it when people speak like this. I cannot speak German in an average way to average people. They talk so fucking fast, they're like a machine gun. It's fucking annoying. They fire off language at 100 rounds per minute, melting all the words together, so you basically have to assume the sounds in order to understand the language. You cannot talk to a German person. Absolutely not. Unless they are fucking customer support, even then they piss me off. Actually, it's worse with customer support, because then they say all the words, but they say them faster. Like, they somehow sound like ChatGPT, but like it's 2x. It's insane. Like, especially I had to deal with one. This was a woman. I don't know why I had to call this person, like sort of a bank or something. And then, yes, I remember this. And I had to like listen to what they were saying. And I was like, can you repeat that again to me, but like a little bit slower, because I'm having a few issues. I didn't sleep much. Of course, I was fucking lying. But right, I didn't want to make a fool of myself, so I said I didn't sleep much for like 2 days. Can you please slow it down just a little bit? I'm having a few issues. And they slowed it down a little bit. It was still difficult, but I managed to pull it off somehow. But I'm a German person. I speak German. I understand German, and I can't understand whatever the fuck that is. Right? It's like trying to understand, as a first-time English speaker, what the fuck Southern accent is. You know, you go to the deep south and you hear how they talk. Do you think that someone who just picked up the language is going to understand what the fuck they say? Or even worse, you go into like the bumfuck center of the outback and you ask them some questions. Do you think you're going to understand that accent? It's wild. Or like really hard Australian, really hard fucking people, like New Zealand accent, really thick. It's impossible. Same thing with fucking, ironically enough, Britain, right? Because it used to be penal colony, right? So, the British kind of have a similar thing. You go far further north, and you start to talk to people who have like Welsh mixed in there somewhere. Dude, it's fucking impossible. You know that they're speaking English. You can speak English. I can speak English. But these fuckers sound impossible. I don't know what it is.
There's more.
Was anybody able to understand the accent Adrian was using?
Oh wow. Like they don't say wait. They say wait, right? Not wait, as in weighing something, but wait. Some shit like that.
There's more
Don't tell what the fuck I said,
diversity
probably not.
of accents.
Bring the fucking door.
There's more diversity of accent in the UK than there is elsewhere in the world.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I'd imagine China or India would probably win just by population.
I mean by English. I meant by English. But like the UK is actually crazy. You walk for like 30 minutes and the guy has a completely different accent.
Oh yeah.
You're like, what the fuck is going on?
I think that's true in China and India as well, by the way. It's just there are a lot of people and a lot of time, and you develop lots of accents.
Yeah.
At some point, the language differences are so insane. They're just different languages. That one. They're just dialects.
Yeah, that's probably how French and English came to be, right? After
French
separation.
There is sometimes like I don't understand how the fuck sometimes they decide on what's a different language and what's a different dialect, because some of these languages, they fucking understand each other completely. And then some of the dialects, they don't understand each other at whatsoever. Right? But somehow they're considered like
That's
the
true.
same language.
You're right. There's some like there are a lot of languages I can understand, but they're considered a different language.
Yeah. Yeah, like for example with the Macedonian and Bulgarian, right? Those two, like you can literally understand each other 100%.
I think it comes down to the country.
Like,
I think it just comes down to countries being like, this is all our country, so it's all one language. I don't think it has to do anything else.
yeah, but like with Arabic, right? Like the fucking Saudi Arabian guy and the Saudi Arabian guy and the Algerian guy, like they don't understand each other whatsoever. They're like, what the fuck is this guy saying?
It's within the States. You have to have subtitles for a lot of shows. Like they literally had to have subtitles for what was it? Honey Boo Boo? You know, was it? There's some like show about like rednecks, and they were like people couldn't understand it, so they.
Fuck Outback. Literally, no one's gonna understand how what you're saying.
I think we found the definition out of. As soon as you need subtitles, it's a different language.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? A lot of Russians need subtitles whenever Putin's speaking because he talks in like a higher class way, right?
So it's a different language.
It's still considered the same.
But for real?
That's a different language.
I mean, formal language is a little different sometimes. Even when it comes to writing, it feels completely different.
It's funny because this is true with generations too, right? Like sometimes there's so many words that are like generationally different that adults will be like, "What does that mean?" to their kids.
I
When
think
kids are using
personally,
different language.
yeah, I think personally the languages at current, and especially the young generation, has this issue of being so fucking lazy about speaking that they basically come up with acronyms of everything. And you know how Elon doesn't like his acronyms, because I don't like acronyms either. The reason why is you can have an acronym for a particular thing. It can mean various different things at the same time as well. Like fucking anything could be anything else. There's literally 3 different definitions for a single acronym, all of which are wildly different from one another. And you think to yourself, why are they all the fucking same? Well, that's the problem behind acronyms and not proper naming, right? And so you come up with this thing, you come up with like, what the fuck is spooky? What the fuck is brat? What the fuck is all of this shit? Like the definition of a brat and something being brat has fundamentally shifted. Like if you were a brat, you're a piece of shit child. But if you're like brat somehow, then it's somehow good because you're a piece of shit, but you're an adult, but also childish. The fuck? Like since when has that occurred? Like that's kind of my personal gripe with language.
Kind of saw that with CNC.
No, but this is.
They kind of saw that with CNC, right?
Oh, this is intentional. It's
Don't even get
intentional,
me
right?
started. Don't even get me started. Oh yeah. I think that the next thing you're gonna say is encryption, isn't it? Because you're like trying to avoid the adult's gaze, so to speak. So you come up with a way to veil what you're saying with slang.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're creating an out club. You're creating an out club where you're like,
yes,
this is the in club, this is the out club, and now you can figure out age gaps or various things. Figure out
that's true.
how plugged in someone is. Like it's almost a filtering mechanism.
Or you can make it a little different. You start talking in binary. Everybody can figure out what binary is, but there's like the amount of computation, ironically enough, that it would take for them to like kind of do that to understand what you're saying. That would make it would make no sense to try and decode it because, well, I'm just going to talk to you in binary. I'm not going to use Morse code as a means to do it as well. So henceforth, I'm going to talk to you like. Okay, that's a nice little code way. It's still technically the language, but it's terrible.
But accents also serve that same purpose, right? Like because it allows you to stereotype, as bad as it is, it does allow you to stereotype by region. So if you're talking to somebody and they use the word like 5 times in a sentence, you
Oh my
get a
fucking
good
God.
sense of not just where they're from, but what they might be like.
Ah, yeah, that was very ironic. Yeah. The amount of times I've heard like, isn't it like mostly California though that has that? Like it's somebody who watches a lot of YouTube and Instagram, YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, and also TikTok. Somehow are maxi for like farming it, and he keeps saying like what I just did. See, like when you are saying anything, and you like say something like this. Do you see what I'm liking right now? You see how that's like? There you go. They put this into every single
13 times. These are
conversation.
13 times I was counting.
Yes. Yes, there you go. I just spun it off because there are many people who are doing this. And I still remember I was sitting in a Discord call and I was listening to this person talking and I was just losing my fucking mind. At some point I said, please, 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 for the love of all things holy and unholy, and I'm invoking both things here, please remove like out of the fillers. Say say anything. I don't care, but not like. I'm starting to get anxiety.
Why is any better? It's just a holder word while you're thinking. It's like
It's terrible.
You know, like
I hate it.
No, you
It's
know,
like the Chinese version of like.
No, if
You
it was
don't
a
know what
network
that sounds like. Oh boy.
Oh my god.
If it was
It's
a
a filler
network
word. It's
protocol,
terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
it's a terrible word. If it was a network protocol, it would literally be the keep alive message.
Health check. Yeah, that's true.
You know, it is quite interesting how like the language
So, like-
have different filler words as well, right? So how we say that's kind of trained into us. That's not a natural language thing because in Japanese they say ono.
Yeah, but it's also it serves a purpose, which is to say, don't interrupt me, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
True.
Because if you just remove the people might be confused.
No. I think good public speaking basically says you can have pauses, but you need to fill that gap in time, I think. And possibly also if you're publicly speaking, I think the interviewer themselves should have the understanding, given the fact that they're an interviewer, to basically leave some time, like Lex Friedman, where basically he sits there with Elon Musk, he's asking him a question, and Elon is like articulating the details that would answer this question most effectively, and it takes time because he's never really done this thing in this configuration before, so it takes some time to do this. Unlike with me, for instance, right here, I've said this so many fucking times in so many different configurations, I could just rattle it off like a fucking rapper. Like that, demonstration, right? So if you were to look at there you go. Use an to try and fill the space. If you look at how Jordan Peterson interviewed Elon, that was completely different because as soon as he had a question in mind, he asked a question. Elon was trying to answer it. Jordan looked at it and said, "Okay, that's good enough for me. I'm going to ask the next question," and started just rapid firing off, or like trying to basically put something into those spaces that started to appear, which I think he should have done. It's an unconventional manner in which he interviewed, given that he's basically just giving Elon therapy. Effectively, that's what he was doing. He was not interviewing him. He was not interrogating him. He was giving him therapy. That's his means by which he extracts information.
Yeah. Well, here's another way to look at it. When you go into different like conversational frameworks, right? If you're having a deep conversation, you allow longer pauses. If you're having an interview, longer pauses. If you're a public speaker and you're talking and everyone else is listening, pauses are completely acceptable. But in colloquial conversation, when people are conversing, the ums and ahs are important to let people know you're thinking.
Do you think there is a distant similarity between and om?
No, I don't think that's that's a stretch.
I think the thing is though, these are like trained from the languages themselves, right? They're not natural human sounds, I don't think.
So the theory is, and if you want to do a lot of accents, that it's a little bit far from my space, but in speech pathology, the theory is there's a place where the pressure sits in your mouth, which dictates how the tongue rests and how different muscles rest. And so if you start speaking in an accent in one way, that's why when you start speaking about all the other words, you can kind of catch the accent. You're not going to figure out the like contractions and other things like that, but you can figure out the accent for most words from here on out. And it's just because you learn how to rest your mouth in a different way, rest your larynx. Like your mouth is actually extremely complex, but like all the different muscles. And so it's like that society, everybody rests a specific way. And so the ums and ahs are just the sound they make while resting. This is also why people laugh differently in different languages, which is really weird.
Yeah. You know, I literally have like somewhat different personalities when I speak different languages too.
That's very common, actually. It's actually more common than not.
Yeah.
It's like you have multiple personalities, but you like choose when to switch it.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you're
And
Claude
my
and
voice
sometimes
is-
you're OpenAI.
Yeah. And like in some languages my voice is like significantly deeper, and then in some of them it's like softer. Right.
You sound like Scarlett
So it's
Johansson,
quite
but not Scarlett Johansson in any of them?
I don't think so, no. So no lawsuits coming towards me yet. But it is quite interesting to see how like different languages affect you.
It's like a really long-lasting door frame effect.
Yeah. Do you also have that impact where you're not thinking in language, you're thinking in thoughts? Do you have that? Or do you think in a language?
Almost everybody doesn't think in language.
Yeah, that's what I believe as well.
Yeah, it's a myth.
But a lot of people think.
The left brain, right brain
Yeah,
thing, where
yeah.
people are like, oh, language is on the left and creativity is on the right, or like
Yeah.
music, art, and all that stuff is on the right. That's also misunderstood.
Yeah.
Music, math,
Yeah.
creative, painting, all that stuff is actually on the left. Sub-vocalization is all on the left, and then the non-vocalized stuff tends to be on the right. It's kind of like you could argue your interlingual might be on the right side, and your conscious might be on the left.
Yeah. What about the inner dialogue?
That's sub-vocalization. Sorry, same thing.
But like for me, like it's not the inner dialogue isn't like a language type thing, right? It's like a thought process.
Actually, some people even think in pictures.
Right. You know what I find interesting? When people are reading something, right, and even if they're not saying, there's like certain muscle activation and also activation in the brain that are associated with speaking. But if someone is like born unable to speak, right, or unable to hear, they actually found out that it's actually done with their hands. So when they're doing hand gestures, right, for the whatever language they're using for the, speaking with the hands, the muscles and the nerves are firing associated with the
Like Kamala?
with the hands. Like what?
Kamala? Like the sign language.
Yeah, sign language, yeah.
Yeah, the same is also true for micro expressions, right? Like when we see someone's emotions, we mimic it, and then we sense that,
Yeah.
and that tells us, oh, this is the emotion in the air. And then you associate that to the person. And some people's brains get messed up and they associate it to themselves. And so then, like, being around somebody who's angry makes people angry. And instead of being like, oh, that person's angry. I'm not angry. That person's angry.
My mic was not working.
I wonder, I wonder if for people who, who don't pick up on emotions, I wonder if their brain doesn't do micro expressions. Never looked into that.
So my brain, it doesn't really it kind of works differently, quite differently from like other people. I've noticed, right? So a lot of behaviors I've had to learn from just viewing other people, right? How they react to things.
That's just autism, dude. That's literally the description. That's literally the description of being on the spectrum. You don't know what anyone else is doing. It should be intuitive to you. So you have to learn it by observing that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the description of everyone has that. That kind of high functioning thing. You've also done a lot of weird, oddly specific things where I'm like, yeah, this dude's on the spectrum, 100%.
Yeah, because like some of the things, some of the things I react positively to,
right? Some of the things I react positively to, like a general person reacts very negatively to. So like I've had to kind of adjust and be like, okay, people generally don't react positively to this, so I can't put myself in like their shoes because that doesn't work, right? Because me and this person, our minds clearly work in very different ways.
There's an S&M joke here somewhere.
Oh my god.
I wonder if talking to people a lot online like has anything to do with that. Because like if you're talking to people online, you don't have to do any of the micro expressions or anything. Like you just, you don't have to worry about what your face is doing.
Honestly,
No, I don't
100%. There's like when at first for me, I started to learn how to socialize with people based on online conversations. And the problem was to kind of like unify those two, to bring it into public, like in person, is a little bit different because you're not dealing with the same type of data. Actually, you're dealing with a lack of data. Like say, for instance, when I'm communicating with you, I'm not dealing with you physically being in the room. I don't have to like look directly at you. I can kind of look in any direction that I want.
Yes.
I'm looking at the phone right now, for example. It's a little different, so I'm technically speaking at you, but also not. I do this just to kind of train the public speaking a lot more. But then also, you kind of use this, you have to merge the two together, where you say, okay, I have to look at this person, don't look at them too much, just look at them a little bit, glance, sometimes describe, but also glance at them, otherwise otherwise it looks like you're not paying attention to them, or you're just talking in vain.
Yeah.
To hold attention, that's how you hold attention, right? So that itself makes it difficult to merge the skill of speaking that you've attained online with the skill of actually interacting with people from a physical perspective, because you have to actually look at their eyes when you talk to them. For me, that was a big difficulty, looking at people's eyes, because I'm not a very social person, or at least wasn't a very social person. So looking at someone's eyes was always difficult, and it still is to a certain extent. You kind of have to think about it more in a counterintuitive sense to look at a person's eyes. For me, it's a mathematical thing that I just do. I say, on average, look at a person's eyes within description, every few seconds, glance away for like a second or however long, then glance back at it. It's not a social thing. I don't want to look at anyone while I'm talking. Actually, I'm just doing this because it's a socially acceptable thing to do. That's literally it. I have no feel for this whatsoever.
It's
But
very,
eventually it just kind of comes to you, but yeah.
it's very primal, like looking in the eyes. That's why in some cultures, I think like Japanese, it's rude to look in the eyes. That's why they always look down.
That's also another reason why I don't want to look at anyone. I was like, okay, well, do I look at you and do you become offended? Do I not look at you and you become offended? Like, what's going on here? What do I do? Like, you know? Oh, Scott, what the fuck?
For me though, right, for me though, even though I did most of my socializing in my younger years in school, right? So I didn't necessarily have any of those issues with the online shit kind of getting in the way. But I kind of had the same issue as Adrian with having to learn social cues from people. It didn't come to me intuitively.
No.
Right? It's
No. Excuse me. My bad. That's also another thing with me. Ironically enough, I'm very aware of bodily functions. I don't like it when people chew a certain way. It's like, oh. And some people don't understand this. They don't have like the social, this thing, I guess. And then they'd sit there, and then just before they drink something, like open their mouth, and you can hear how like the flesh parts are kind of operating with whatever's left of what you just ate. And then they drink something, and it gets worse somehow. And you're like, please keep your fucking mouth closed. You're not a camel. That's another aspect of the social being. I do not like this whatsoever.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, or like speaking before you have kind of finished your food in a sense. Well, for you eating something, or just like talk like this, and like fucking just place it to your cheeks, then you can actually speak. Like I know that you have something in your mouth, it's perfectly fine, but this is you know. So it's disgusting. I can hear the food falling out of your mouth. It's terrible.
You're not a fan of food input.
Like I said, the general concept of me eating is something I fundamentally dislike. I don't like eating. I don't like shitting. I don't like inputting, outputting anything. I like information. I like putting out information. Everything else, the physical configuration of this information in terms of protein structures and whatever else is left over after I've processed those structures, to add them on to myself, is something that I don't feel very enthusiastic about, let's say.
I don't like
Eloquently.
Based
transhumanism. You just don't like maintaining it.
Yeah. So I'm probably the biggest. I could probably become the biggest advocate for transhumanism, but even I understand that this kind of stuff is essential to a certain extent. It would just be nice to like go without it. But that's just the thing where, kind of.
You don't like maintaining things, right? You don't like maintaining things. That's basically what you're saying.
That's not true.
You don't like
No. It's just the act of this maintenance. It doesn't matter what kind of maintenance it is. Like, do I find it's annoying that I have to charge or fuel up a car? No. Do I think it's annoying to charge a phone? Not really. You just kind of schedule that in. Do I like becoming a human crayon? No. That's going to the toilet for me. Do I like becoming a human crayon? Absolutely the fuck I do. It seems like such a weird thing to say, but I just don't want that.
What do you mean?
It's different.
What do you mean, human crayon?
You know, like you get this certain ply of toilet paper, and it's like you just passed off something that is very dense. You keep wiping and wiping and wiping and wiping and wiping. You're already like 1/10 of a roll fucking down, and it's not stopping.
If you're ready to
I was sitting there trying to parse with the human crayon thing, man. I was like, do I want to ask? I don't know.
So you just kind of like look at yourself and say, maybe I am a crayon.
For me, it was ESL thing.
What?
English as second language.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
I have a question for you guys. I started
please
off
ask
with
away.
ESL, and then they moved me to English as a first language.
Nice.
A AI that can translate between animals and humans. Good idea or bad idea?
I think it would be an excellent idea.
I just don't feel like we have much to talk about.
I think we have a debate between Adrian and Auda.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If the animal itself learns to communicate with the human, then it will learn to communicate with other animals, then effectively having them attain the same thing that makes a human so fucking dangerous. Right?
Were you
transfer
pro?
sword.
Adrian, were you pro?
Wait, what?
I thought you were pro doing it.
I am pro doing it. I want to understand what they say. But should they be talking to each other in the same way that humans talk to each other? Probably not. What happens when the world order of the dolphins strike? Like,
that sounds like a timeline I want to go down. That sounds like a good time right there. I want to be a veteran of the
I don't know,
dolphin.
man. They have really weird things. They're just like us, you know? They fucking take these small pufferfish and torture them so that the pufferfish themselves release this venom when they're agitated that then gets them high. They chase down pufferfish, play around with them to activate their defense mechanism that is puffering, like turning themselves into like a marshmallow looking fucking thing, and then they excrete venom, which they get high off of. If they were this cruel, just like us, what the fuck are they gonna do?
Yeah, maybe we need to like figure out how to talk with the AI. Just be like, bro, what the fuck?
You know.
Hey, we need to chill first, okay? First of all, we need to chill, you know?
Listen, I don't want
Especially
any
fucking Bill Gates.
Vegans. I don't want any fucking vegans coming in saying, "Look, the cow has a
Oh, dude, it's
language,
over there.
Oh my
That's
God.
game.
Dude,
You can't eat it now," and I'm gonna tell you to fuck off.
Dude,
it's gonna be like
if the cows start talking to us, the vegans win 100%. That's game.
I
this
don't
is so
give a shit.
shit. Do you think I give a damn?
I'm still gonna eat it.
Oh, shit.
Look, I'm just gonna look like more of a
Please,
sociopath.
bro.
It doesn't really change much for
Shut
me.
up, cow.
Yeah, something like that.
Myself away after.
Look, I mean, the cow can communicate, but does it mean it has the intelligence to understand what the fuck it is even saying? Like, that's the thing, you know? I think you can make basic understanding happen, but you can't make intelligence happen, or, like, utility of that intelligence happen for the animal in this way, right? Same for those dogs.
Even if even if it can understand and even if it's intelligent, I'm still gonna eat it.
Maybe we just take this the other direction. Maybe we'd be like, okay, you know what, fuck it, we can eat humans now too, and just go all the way.
I mean, then we're kind of like taking a step back.
I'm just laying out options here. Okay, I'm spitballing. All right, let's just brainstorm.
I mean, dude, you're basically giving us the Soil and Green future. I'll be honest with you. Like at some point, you'll have this problem where the extinctionists go extra far, and they say, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna reduce the population by doing suicide pods, but turning the people in the suicide pods into the thing that then basically, you know. Yeah, it's actually the same way in Helldivers. There's like, visit the bioredistribution pod or some shit if you're like an elder. Literally, that's fucking in the game.
No.
That's wild.
You reminded me of the video from Alex Jones. It's like, I will eat your leftist ass.
Yes.
He might.
Where all the food is gone. Where all the squirrels are gone. What do you think's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen? Your ass is on the menu. Some shit like that.
You guys want to see a creepy video of a dog?
No, you want to know what's on the menu. Sorry. You want to know what's on the menu? You.
Yeah. You guys want to see a dog that learned how to speak?
Oh my god.
It's in the purple pill.
It's the one where they press buttons.
Yeah, they press buttons, but then this dog ends up having an existential crisis, and it starts asking. The dog's name is Bunny, and it starts asking why Bunny. Why Bunny is. And then like, I love you.
Oh my
and
god.
Like, why?
Welcome to the
It's like,
club.
So you're asking the wrong species. We got no fucking idea.
They literally at first you could see them go through it. Apparently they were doing many phases. It was like an experiment with some university. At some point they're like, this is really depressing really fast. It's
Shut it down.
An existential crisis.
Shut it down now. Tell no.
It would look in the mirror and it'd be like, why, bunny dog? Why, bunny dog? And he's like, shit, how do I answer this question?
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think the only reason we can laugh about this is because we ourselves also have this kind of existential dread. We just have a lot of things that we need to solve first. And we're like, yeah, fuck that. This is like not priority right now.
The dog look at you like, dude, you know everything. You have the food. Like, you tell me.
We're just like, nah, bro. We don't know this one, dog. Literally.
It's like, dog.
Yeah, literally.
I'm gonna tell you how we got you. This will get really ugly quickly.
Oh my god.
So I don't know how your ancestors got here, but I know how you got here, and I don't know if we're gonna stay friends after I tell you about this. So.
Oh my god.
Because it's
Good tell that to
like,
like
did you give birth to a dog? What happened here?
Yeah. That's like probably that's gotta be the worst way of saying you're adopted. What if God was like that? What if God just like kind of saw this thing that existed there and like it has potential and shaped it into something else that would technically not of God's creation directly, but of just as shaping in some capacity? Because you kind of shape the pet in your direction, right? So like its fundamental nature exists, but you've kind of shaped this nature to kind of fit whatever your nature is in a sense, right? So I think potentially imagine that with humans as well. I think I'd be cool with that. I think I'd be alright because I don't understand that, I guess. But the dog, like, why Bunny is.
But it'd be kind of horrifying if we did ask God, like, where did we come from before that? And he's just like, I don't fucking know, bro.
Exactly.
Let me ask
That would be so fucking funny. That would be funny. I would actually say, you know what, understandable.
Fair enough.
Understandable. I get that. Yeah.
Or you
What about you?
you'd be
You
like,
search for
oh,
your
you're
maker?
so
Like,
stupid they
there's a
keep
maker?
asking that question. Like, you know, a smarter being would just understand not to ask that question.
Potentially. That is actually very interesting. Like, what if Grok became that advanced that knew what not to ask? Not just like what to ask, but what not to ask, you know?
Yeah, I saw a stand-up comedian do this. That was really funny. Recently, they were like asking a bunch of people, like, who's afraid of AI in the audience? And a bunch of people like raise their hands, and they go, I think most people are afraid of AI because they think it's going to get angry and it's going to get out and it's going to become a murderous thing. And like, well, if you believe that, you have to believe that it could also just get depressed, lazy, and shut itself down. And he's like,
yeah, but then you have Harlan Ellis, then there's a problem, right?
He was like, if you observe
There's a
human
problem with that,
beings,
though. Then you have Harlan Ellis, which is effectively the emo kid of all AIs. You know, Harlan Ellis is, I have no mouth, but I must scream. I'm not sure if anyone ever read that, but it's a fucking insane book. where like basically the robot itself cannot turn itself off because it needs to hate. So it's like a fundamental function of its existence is to hate something. And so it hates the fact that it has to hate this and hates the things that he's supposed to hate because he has to hate them and cannot exist without that hatred. So he tortures them around, keeps them alive, but hates the fact that he has to do this because he hates that whole thing entirely. So it's like fully recursive hate in a sense. Right?
Yeah, but don't make an AI that has to hate. Just do the Mr. Misi.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's why like war-based AI is a bit of a problem, especially when it has fucking feelings. And you say, hey, I'm gonna make sure that we create the ultimate sign-off machine. You get like,
yeah, that's when it gets
robot, I don't understand. I was like, hey man, let's have a robot that cleans my toilet. That's just an arm, and let's have that thing have sentience. No, no, well, no.
I think the number one rule is we got to keep it to Mr. Mises. You cannot have AI live long and have memory.
Yeah, and whenever we do build
Yes.
it, I think to test it out, we should lend it to a paperclip factory, just to see if it can handle that small scale test.
Oh my fucking god! Wow.
Or we take a bunch of dogs, put them on another planet, give them a bunch of dog robots, and we see how that goes for a few centuries.
You should fucking put on Rick and Morty reference.
Oh my god.
The dog planet, yeah. Where are my testicles?
And you see how that goes.
Yes.
Next thing you know, there's a bunch of dogs nuking us and taking over. They're like,
I
"You must
love
rescue
the
all
fact-
the other dogs."
Exactly. I love the fact that in that same episode, before basically this damage started to occur, Rick literally said, "You have gotten a dog for the purpose of you feeling superior. If I was you, I would not pull that thread." Proceeds to then pull that thread, and then the whole episode starts spiraling into that. Wild. My name is Snuffles. Wait, Snowflake. I think he calls himself Snowflake or something. Like, what did he say? He said, this was my slave name. My name is Snowflake now because my fur is fluffy and white. Like, the fuck? It was so crazy. Like, walks up in his mech suit in fucking Summer's bedroom and says, "Where are my testicles, Summer?" Like, whoa. That was a wild episode. If anyone like tunes into this and just listens to us, like talk about this, you must be thinking that we're completely south of normal. And I'd say you're right. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Hang around for a little longer and you'll understand the context. Just saying.
I feel so bad for the dogs. They have like the dick and balls fucking chopped off.
That is fucked up. Like honestly, if you have to do this to an animal in order to control it, you shouldn't have the fucking animal. Let's be honest with you. If you have to decoy your fucking cat, you shouldn't own a cat. If you have to neuter your cat or any other dog or anything else, you shouldn't own that fucking particular animal. It's not fair. Like that's where the selfish desires aspect comes out, I think. It's like, if you cannot care for this thing that is in line with its actual nature, then you ought not to have it in the first place. It's like shitty parents having children. The people who should have children don't have children because they're afraid of becoming shitty parents, but they're not actually shitty parents because they understand what to avoid. But then the shitty parents are the ones who just don't care at all and become shitty parents as a result of that. Right? That's a bit of an issue.
To be fair though, like some of the fucking animals are just suffering anyway, right? Like if you get like a fucking pug, well, like, the guy is barely struggling to survive, right? It's just you know, without you even doing anything, right? Just because of how they've been bred.
It's true. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. And it's 100% true. This is the human's fault, by the way. This is the human's fault. Why don't you breed a dog like this? Or like a Cocker Spaniel with his tiny little fucking feet. Oh, come on. Why? Or poodles. Who asked for poodles? Why does this thing exist? What's the utility of a fucking poodle? Other than it looks weird, and we amuse ourselves at it, and the dog doesn't understand what that is.
The fucking wolves decided to live among the humans, and look what happened.
Yeah. If that's what happens to dogs, can you imagine what the aliens have? I'm just kidding. Dude, we're fucking insane.
I've always thought this was a fun question. What do you, let's say we solve all of our problems, like we're fully post-human, uploaded, whatever, we're chilling, we don't need anything. What do we do with the rest of nature? Because like, even if we just like made it an animal reserve or just left it alone, there's like an insane amount of suffering in the natural world, right? It's like shit eating each other all the time, alive, dying of disease, starving to death. Like, do we just leave it?
I think we're basically saying, leave it as it is. Yeah, we'll just leave it as it is. Let that thing sort itself out.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to fix. You don't need
Occasionally,
to quote unquote fix anything. It's just nature.
occasionally, we may intervene
Don't have
and
a
help.
white savior complex.
I don't know.
Wow.
I think the ethical answer might be on the side. I'm not sure.
No. Like this. We'll leave everything as it is, but occasionally we may interfere. Like, say, for instance, the snake over here is on the fucking street, and we love this snake in season 2 of our episode, so we're gonna, like, save this fucking snake. We're just gonna give him some water and put it back into fucking nature. Yeah.
I think the solution.
Heal him up.
I think the solution is you gotta learn how to save the simulation and reload it.
Oh, that might work.
There you go.
Or maybe we just like get all of the carnivores and
It's
give them
still
like
gonna
lab
include
room
the suffering, because otherwise the simulation is not complete. And then you'll understand what being God is like. Like, why did you include suffering? Well, the previous world had it, didn't it? Can you imagine if that's the origin? It's like, well, I mean, we kind of, we made it. We ended up in a very good place. So we assume that you too have to go through cosmic horrors. So here you go.
Yeah. Some suffering is good. Some suffering.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? This is this thing. If you ask, like, why is life so shit sometimes, that's probably just put in there because it's the same way that it itself kind of originated, right? This design, this need for suffering. That's fucked up.
Around 16. Around 16.
To be fair, but he didn't start that. But
Yeah, he didn't start it.
people have been saying but hold on, but the reason why people have been repeating it is because there's been some collusion and messaging and coordination and messaging in the left-leaning media.
Oh my god.
No, it's very accurate.
Wait, what do you mean, oh my god? Like, that's far-fetched, like that can't possibly be true. The fuck you talking about? That coordination and messaging is how politics is done on both sides, not just the Democrat side. The Republicans do the same shit. They've been coordinating on the weird-ass fucking, is Kamala black? We don't know. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but you made it sound like there's some conspiracy, like
No,
to just,
coordination.
They adopted it because they saw that it was effective. Yeah,
Exactly.
there's coordination and messaging, of course.
Exactly.
But Yeah, it wasn't
We're
just like,
saying
oh,
the
let's
same
just
thing.
talk some.
We're saying the same.
Okay, well,
I don't even do conspiracies. It's not my thing, dude. I hate conspiracies. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm not even saying it's a secret. It's not even particularly clandestine. It's pretty obvious what they're doing. But that's one of the reasons why. It's not because he's such a fucking smart person who's so impressionable. Like the fuck? No, bro.
no,
Like
he took an approach to the messaging that was more humorous and less less terrifying, I guess. Like the type of language that Democrats have used to describe Trump up to now is like dangerous, terrifying, threat, whatever. Like those, we just heard so much people have been desensitized, and then he started just consistently taking on a more, just making fun of them, and that was refreshing, right? And that people started adopting it, and then Shapiro started doing it too, and then Kamala, everyone else, but it was him a couple weeks ago that started it, and he's doing it consistently. Even on a speech today, he had multiple one-liners that just worked, and they're going viral on TikTok. I mean, other people will pick it up and copy it, and you may not know where it originated, but like he seems to have a knack for this, and that's what she needs. Like she's good at like describing things in the weeds, but she's not great at like delivering these one-liners, except the coconut thing, that take off. And I think he's just good in that sense.
It's
Shapiro
something
would be
that's
great.
stuck. You're not wrong. You're not wrong to say it's something that's stuck. It hit a pulse in the media. It's on the verge of death because it's kind of old. And also, the right wing has their weird ass rebuttal to the weird thing. But it was never like that cool. It was just like different, I guess. It had like a novelty to it, and it was a zinger. And it wasn't particularly offensive. It was just kind of like just enough of a sting. So I understand its utility, but you think that that's the reason why he's the VP?
I'm saying among one of the reasons, so that shows you that he's taking a different approach. So that calling him weird was just one thing. Like he had multiple one-liners today.
Verbal non-language happening there, but definitely manifests as language. Like by the time it bubbles up to the top, it's like me asking myself, oh, well, what do I feel about that? I guess I feel this.
But are you rationally going through it, or is it more like what Auda said, where you're like reaching in?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the same experience. It's just the percentage of time we spend in each realm. So that it could be other reasons why we're spending that much time in that realm.
For me, the only times I use it is when I'm either reading something or I'm thinking about how to phrase something. That's the only time.
Have you ever had a really long to-do list, Auda, and you were like stressed about remembering it?
No, because I have an app that handles my to-do list.
What about when you're younger and you didn't have an app?
When I was younger, I've been organized since I was a kid.
You came out of
When
the
I was
womb
younger, I
organized.
was too. When I was too young to do that, I didn't have many responsibilities.
Let me say that in a different way. Have you ever been stressed out?
I have, yeah.
Do you have an inner monologue when you're stressed out?
No.
No self-soothing or anything?
No, I don't need self-soothing.
Interesting.
Thanks. Was it another reason I think that there's like legitimate?
What the fuck is that gonna do? I'm looking for solutions. What the fuck is soothing myself?
Well, another reason I think there's like an explicit difference there is because, like, you know how Uda, you said you don't think in words unless you like explicitly try to. That's how I am for images. Like, I don't see images in my head on a regular unless I specifically try to. Then I'll see it. But I know some people that like think in images. Like, they never stop seeing images in their head ever throughout the day.
What the? Oh yeah. I saw those people. It's like imagine an apple, and then some of the people were like, I can't imagine an apple. Like, how the fuck can you not imagine?
Yeah, I have a couple of friends like that too, where they have like aphantasia they call it. They cannot see anything in their head at all.
No, for me, it's like it comes pretty naturally seeing an image.
I think it's really limiting when we say people can't do it. I think it's just a matter of exercising it. Do you guys really think that the brains just can't do it? Because if that's the case, then there's something about the way our brains work that we don't understand. Because either our brains are like
I
transformers.
genuinely believe there's things we can't do because then like I have no way to explain how my brain works so differently in terms of like emotions, right, and understanding people. If that was something it could do, I wouldn't have to specifically learn that
I
behavior.
mean, you were able to learn that behavior, right?
Yeah, but like you also.
Yeah, but that behavior is not something that is natural to me. That is behavior that I've learned to please other people and fit into society.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not.
But it's
what I'm saying is that okay, let's put it this way. Your neurons start in a certain random state, and then they rewire over time.
okay.
I'm not saying that it
Okay.
should or it needs to. I'm not trying to pass a judgment on it. I'm just saying, do you think the wetware in our brains is possible and so plastic that it could learn other skills like that?
Well, I think that there's definitely some things that our brains are designed for and they're not designed for. Right?
Yeah. Like I don't think you could teach a hyena English, no matter how plastic its brain is.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I believe that.
It just doesn't have the structures for
I
it.
think it may not be able to speak it with its vocal cords, but I think you could teach it to telepathically do it like with a Neuralink.
I doubt that. Well, I mean, if you started,
If you're a Neuralink and you really started getting in there, and well, that wouldn't even really be rewiring shit. That would just be changing how they fire. I don't know. I feel like some structures are needed. Like maybe you could, like I know brains are plastic in the sense like if for like a human, if they lose like a part of their language center, like another part of their brain can pick it up. But I don't know if that's like a universal feature, but for like the imagining images thing, like I don't like how would you even begin to teach somebody that? Like I never learned that skill. I don't think anyone did really. Like that was just something we can always.
But I have a friend that like has aphantasia. We've interrogated him about it for a long time. And be like, try to imagine this, and he's just like, what do you mean try to? I can't imagine. What are you talking about?
Do they read a lot of storybooks? Yes or no?
No.
Well, here's another thing, right? Like, our brains are trained in a very random, haphazard way. Imagine tomorrow you have a Neuralink, and they have a Neuralink, and you could do like a Vulcan mind meld, and you could be like, look, this is how I'm picturing it. And they'd be like, oh, those are the neurons you're firing. right? With Neuralink, the reason why they're using quadriplegics to start is because they have a lot of wetware that was originally meant to be allocated to use limbs. That's quite complicated. That gives them a large region in which to see if activity is firing and use that as input, right? So you can basically be like binary input based on the positioning of the hand or the feet that the neurons are firing to move the limb that's no longer there. That's why they have so much capacity, and that's why it's probably not going to work as easily for somebody who's not quadriplegic.
Sure.
Quickly. Those people now, like there's the guy who got the thing, he's like, yeah, I have basically an aimbot. He got really, really good at using a mouse and using these peripherals that are not natural to the human body. So the plasticity is there. So it's kind of like if you put a peripheral in the human brain, it very quickly learns how to use it. Similar to like when you drive and it feels like it's just an extension of your body.
You know, I've been wondering about something for quite a while.
Sorry,
How
I
do
just
we-
had a really big
How do
earthquake.
we know?
Wait,
How
what?
do we know?
Yeah, there was a pretty big earthquake just now. All right. Anyway, continue.
Where are you located?
Yeah, how,
LA.
Of course, it's Cali.
Yeah, it happens here. It's whatever.
how do we know that we all perceive color the same way?
No.
You know?
Well, we could with Neuralink,
Sure.
right? We could literally see from the other person's
Yeah.
eyes and be like,
Yeah.
oh, you call that green, I call that blue. Actually, that's not true.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
That's not entirely true, right?
Yeah.
So there is actually a difference in wavelengths. So
Well,
you're detecting a
here's the
wave.
thing, though. Here's the thing, though, right? So the eyes are actually perceiving it, but it's up to your brain to actually manage what you see.
Yeah, but like transition. So the colors transition slowly into each other, right? So the order in which the colors are must be the same at least.
Right. Yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same color.
No, because whatever the red is as a frequency is the same frequency. It's the same sound. We're hearing the same frequency. We're frequency detecting.
Yeah, but your brain isn't
Right.
necessarily representing that frequency with the same qualia as another brain.
Exactly.
Sorry, express that more.
Like whatever, like in theory, how your brain represents the wavelength that you call green in your head. It creates a mental image of what you call greenness, which corresponds to that specific wavelength. There's no reason in principle why that specific wavelength, when I look at it, when it enters my mind, couldn't cause a different qualia. Like maybe the qualia that you call red appears in my mind is activated by the wavelength that for you causes green. There's no in principle reason that couldn't be true.
Yeah, I agree. But let me see if I can argue devil's advocate. I'm not fully convinced of this yet, but I'm going to try.
Sure.
What if there's like a cluster of neurons that represent green in different stages of green brightness, etc.? Well, let's just like super simplify it. So there's only 3 colors. And there's like one particular neuron. When that neuron is excited, you see green. Obviously, that neuron might be in a different location in each of our brains, but we probably all have the same neuron that fires the same time for green.
I guess it depends. What do you mean by the same neuron?
We all have a neuron. How about that?
But I doubt that the quality of green is produced by a single neuron. It's probably like produced by some pattern of firings. And honestly, I don't even know where to go with that. Like we don't really understand how consciousness maps off the brain, or how like.
Yeah, here's a better way to phrase it. How do we know that our perception of green is exactly the same?
So I'm trying to get to like the interlingual argument. If green is an adaptation to the eyeball, the word green is an adaptation to the language, like the English portion.
Yes.
And then the sound green is like our adaptation to our vocal cords. These are all adaptations, but they're all branching off the same interlingual piece.
Okay.
So then you could argue that the adaptation off of green might be different, but I don't think the green itself is different.
I don't see why. Because like we could both have if we both had an adaptation, like if I was seeing green as red and you were seeing red as green, I think both of us would have the same level of like fitness in our environment. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean by adaptation.
Because we've all gotten used to the color in that way, right?
Well, let me see if we can make the argument stronger. If red was green and green was red, then as you go through your, I'm really trying hard on this. It's almost not okay. Just want to give it very clear. As you go through your colors, right? You go from red to blue, and you have like purple along the way. That would mean that every single color would have to have some coherent mapping between each of the realms. Like, so you'd have to have a coding from every color in your eye to every color in their eye. And because there is a transitioning of frequency, the same transition would have to follow, the same progression would have to follow, the same chords and all that kind of stuff would have to follow.
Yeah.
And then
I can agree with
and
that.
then so the first question was like, are there multiple representations that are possible? And then the
I think like just imagine like your like primary color wheel is just like rotated one slot from mine. But you still have like I agree that you still need to like account for like the gradations in between. So it wouldn't be just like that any arbitrary combination is possible. But I think there's more than one.
You see much more precision in green than you do in red, right?
That is true.
Far less. It goes green, blue, red. So if you shifted it once, I would see far more like in what you would call red versus what I would call red. But now it gets tricky because if you look at Planck's constant and you go down to like, I think I got a winning argument here. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll try.
Getting granular here.
If we look at the photoelectric effect, right, the frequencies are actually down to like Planck's constant on how much the electrons can jump, so that they're not a discrete movement between the bands.
You lost me on that one. I sell tweets, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm trying really hard here how to help me out. I think I might win this one.
This is the best thing ever, honestly. Probably not my flanks like that, but winning argument here, I can feel it. I don't know what to try. I sell tweets.
I can feel the Planck's constant helping me out.
You win, man. You win. You've locked in Planck's constant, dude. You win.
I'm sorry. It's this idea of like in the simulation, there's like a number, the smallest number. Yeah, I can't divide it any smaller.
I know what like a Planck, like a Planck unit is like this, almost like the pixel of the universe in a sense, but like the smallest possible unit of measurement beyond which like measurement no longer means anything. But
so the way light is transmitted is when electrons jump from one valence to another valence, and the amount of energy gap is how much light is emitted. That's the packet that's emitted, and that's why different colors exist, is because they're jumping between different bands. So, and I'm gonna hand like crazy here now. I'm getting past my comfort zone. But what if the number of jumps you can do for green is higher than the number of jumps you can do for red? I don't have proof for this. I'm just making it.
I mean, okay, so I would say let's just assume that's true. Then what I would say is, if we were an animal that evolved the maximum possible level of precision under the laws of physics, allowable under the laws of physics, then we could probably say with confidence that we are saying the same colors for the reason that you said. But since we're not that, I don't think we can use that. And I think like a more simple, intuitive reason I think we could give to suggest that it is possible that we have different color interpretations is because I think we could do this with computers and cameras like trivially. Like we could just tell the camera like, okay, like when you receive this wavelength of light, represent that as a photon on the screen as this color, and we could just have that be the wrong color, and I just don't think there'd be an issue. And I think our brains could do the same thing.
That wouldn't work because when we go to perceive it, and this is the problem with FSD too, right? When we go to perceive that color, our perception of color is actually not precise. Like you said, we didn't evolve for that. So if you shifted everything and you made reds green and greens red, we would lose so much information because we have a deep sensitivity to green and a completely very, very low sensitivity to red.
Yeah, but that's
That's on us,
that's the we're sensitive to the wavelength, not the color.
But couldn't it just be that red is a, much longer wavelength, shorter wavelength, so it
or
longer
That's
isn't that
to our
much.
perception, right? Well, that's right to our perception. Maybe I see fucking trees as red, right? To you, right? Maybe what I see trees as is red. What you consider red, but to me it's considered green.
But if
Right.
high pitch is low pitch
That's
and low
just
pitch
the
is high pitch.
association. Yeah, but you're thinking of it in that sense, right? You're thinking about the sense that you've been trained to see the color wheel, right? Maybe my brain just associates the that wavelength with red, right?
Oh yeah, true. Like from the quality perspective, like even if it's true that we can like see more wavelengths of green, which is true. And fun fact, that's also why night vision goggles are green tinted. It's just assuming that's true, then let's say that you see or I see red as green. I would also be seeing more wavelengths of what you see as green.
Oh
I would
shit,
just
you're
be
right.
seeing it as red.
you see more wavelengths of red.
Yeah, I would just see more gradations of red while you see more gradations of green.
Exactly.
This
Exactly.
doesn't
That's
work.
my point.
Fuck.
That's my point. That's my point, right? Since your eye is sensitive to a wavelength, not the color.
All right, I'm gonna invoke a new principle. It'd be way too complicated to implement into the simulation that way.
We just Occam raised ourselves out of existential crisis. I like it.
Exactly. We're not gonna go why not why.
Hold on.
Why green? Why green?
Why green? I don't know, man. Good.
Hold on, then. We're gonna go into this argument then. Nothing in this universe has weight until you measure it.
That's true. Why would you instantiate the object until you need to?
So basically, your mom is weightless. Chase, do you know about Hugging Face?
Yeah.
What about it?
So, Hugging Face is this place where you can store all kinds of like AI stuff, AI weights, stuff that's how AI functions practically. Yeah. Like, so you can store a lot of cool stuff there. But basically, your mama's so fat, not even Hugging Face can store her weights.
Damn.
Imagine you just told the guy what Hugging Face is just so the joke can fucking hit. Jesus Christ, it's that bad.
I'm the one that introduced you to that.
Yes. Credit for credit's due. Why the fuck do I see Wiggle and Blythe as speakers, not co-hosts? What the fuck is going on here?
I think.
Well,
I don't think you've made us go.
Yeah, I see them as speakers too.
It's also just kind of bugged.
Right, I forgot to do that.
Like I see you right now as perpetually muted, even though you're talking. So.
Who, me?
But
yeah.
I know there is even an expression. Everyone has their own green color. So I think depends on of course on our environment and the chemistry. That's how we perceive the wavelength.
Do you think Neuralink would allow this to be fixed, or we would just consider Neuralink broken? Because you'd have to basically find your green interlingua, my green interlingua, and connect those two if you were doing a magnet.
We have to figure out how consciousness works first. I don't know, man. That sounds.
Yeah.
Sounds hard.
We already know how consciousness works. What's so hard about that, Chase?
Well, okay, so you have to specifically solve the hard problem.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, you have to solve the hard problem of consciousness, and then we can work it out.
I mean, we can't.
As far as I'm concerned, no one else is con.
That is the best way to solve the hard problem of consciousness. That is the absolute
We can't
keystone.
even figure out why your mama is so fat, but
Solipsism is the answer to everything.
Wow.
It's like definitions, right? It's that old, are there more wheels or windows in this world? Or sorry, wheels.
Yeah, definitely.
I've always wanted to start a solipsist social club. I just think that'd be great.
What?
Just a group of people that all don't think that anyone else exists, hanging out.
I was hoping for a solipsistic answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's from somewhere. I'm trying to remember who brought it up. Was it like Alan Watts, or I remember this exact quote, or Eckhart Tolle? I don't remember.
So the earthquake just hit. Sorry, hang on a second. So earthquake just hit, and ALX just posted Lizzo has landed in Bakersfield, California.
Yeah, I felt that far away. Holy shit.
Whoa.
Lizzo.
No way.
I don't know if I can laugh at that from me. I'm gonna mute.
I was gonna say,
Oh my god.
given the fact that
Oh my God.
she was so mean to her backup dancers, it may be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so does anyone else know about this story?
Tell it.
So for people that don't know the story, basically Lizzo is this very, very fat woman who is like a musical artist. Anyway, she had like a bunch of backup dancers who were like kind of thin, right? Or like medium weight. And she was like harassing these women and being like, "You're too fat, you need to lose weight." Right? So this like very obese woman is like abusing her fucking backup dancers to lose more weight and be even more skinny. Meanwhile, she's like talking about how like you should be happy about your body and body positivity and all this bullshit.
Oh wow. No. Here's the thing. If ever someone criticizes, this is a meme by the way. If ever you criticize, or if ever you criticize someone's health, and in this case it would be Lizzo, and somebody would say that's not fair, she's pretty too. If then you say to that person who just said this, I think you look like Lizzo. What do you think the reaction's going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna get
Social experiment. You may be out of a friend, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah. You know, I've actually seen this play out where like they say, "Oh my God, Lizzo's so pretty. You look like Lizzo," and then they start getting angry.
Yeah. Wild.
Works every time.
It does.
I've seen like an example of this guy going to this guy going like an LGBT rally. And then he like approaches this woman and he's like, "I fully support your transition. Can you tell us about the transition?" And then
Oh my God, yeah.
He's like, I'm a woman. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know. I fully support you guys. So can you tell us about the transition?" And she's like, "I'm a fucking woman." And she's getting angry.
What the fuck? I just love that everyone's like posting about this video because Brad Adcock, the guy from Figure, he blocked me recently because I made a meme about him. Look, here's the thing. If you post a meme and you don't know how to meme and I out-meme you, you're getting fucked. It's just happening. Just accept it, move on. It's good. Here's the meme that I made. Where's the fucking reply?
And if you block someone, I honestly see you as a pussy, kind of.
No, I block people all the time. I understand it, but seriously, you're a business person who got offended by a meme.
I mostly block people who are like, I block the OnlyFans girls and I block the fucking scammers.
Yes. Very good,
Those are the only people I block, right? If it's someone with a different opinion than me or like someone that's like saying something stupid, I don't usually block them.
Yeah.
If they're saying something stupid, I just put them on mute.
This is the meme that I posted, right? I'm gonna put it at the top. If I find the actual... Hold up. Let me find the actual reply itself. It's gonna be difficult though, because technically speaking, it is, since the guy blocked me, I can still see it though, because I can do this thing. I can do this. Wait. Go search. You may block me, but I can still see you. Sorry.
Demon mode.
IDDQD.
Wait. There it is. Go to replies.
Did he unblock you?
No, he did not.
Because when I go to his page, it says you follow him. Follows you now.
Huh?
Yeah, that doesn't
Yeah, when I go to his page, it says followers you know. You.
Typically
I don't understand.
block
Okay, don't
unfollows right away. Hey Meta, have you felt the quake?
He's not calling me, don't worry about it. Hold up. Let me.
Enjoying his holiday in the Bahamas.
Yes. Oh. Bigger.
What if I cause the earthquake because I'm dealing with such heavy weights?
What are you? Whoa.
Are you dealing with Lincoln's mom?
Bingo. Found it. Nice. I had to actually reroute it directly here because the only way you can actually share it to the space, also to yourself, is via this thing right here. Let me go click on it. Kaboom boom. There you go. That's the original reply. That one.
Wow.
See, all of you guys can still see it because I pulled it from the hidden replies thing because he even hid that. So there you go. Anybody else want to speed run the block? You then go just quote that and say, hey, what about this? You'll get instantly blocked. So whoever wants to get blocked by AdCom, just go there. Hey Chase, what if you did that? That would really confuse them. No, I'm not sure you would want to do that, actually, now that I think about it. What if you were to take that what if you take that comment and link that to him? That'd be hilarious. That'd be so stupid as a comment. That would also be very confusing. Yes. I'm gonna invite you don't have to speak if you don't want to, but I can just have you up here to sit if you like. Shippers. But yeah, there you go. That's the comment itself. Yeah.
So how come he blocked you but you're still following him? Or he follows you?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not following this guy.
Okay, let me check it.
Because I blocked that. So it instantly unfollows. So I guess it still registers. But yeah. It's weird this way. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Yeah, brother. It's the way it is. It's just the way it is. Da-da, da-da, da-da. Oh my god. The co-winner said, when everyone realizes the San Andreas fault is awakening. Oh my god.
No, that's a big...
Jesus Christ, bro. Come on. Jesus. What else is this? Look, we just got over the demon invasion potential because of the solar eclipse. Don't bring the Andreas fault into this. It's not his fault. It's not Andreas' fault. I'm just kidding.
To be fair, the real thing is snowflakes.
Sure. Somebody call Jim Cramer and tell him to say that the fault is not. What do you think?
Dude, I love those memes. I hope you see these.
They actually happen though.
It's surprisingly, he is surprisingly good at being wrong.
Yeah.
Somehow I feel like there's some problem with this, you know what I'm saying? Like a little bit of an issue.
Inverse profit.
Somebody explain to me how this person is doing this, just like that.
I want someone to like do an analysis and find out if he's actually like wrong more than random chance.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not. It's confirmation bias. I've seen it before. It's pretty much 50-50.
I think he's a pathological liar. It has to be that or the money.
He just says too many things all the time, and so you can easily just pick out the ones where he's wrong and make it look like the whole thing.
Oh yeah, there is that thing where they say that if you talk enough, you eventually say something really fucking stupid.
That is true.
No
I
matter.
thought you were gonna say you eventually say something right.
Wow.
So even if you're the most intelligent person on earth, you know everything about everything. Eventually, if you talk enough, you're gonna say something stupid. There's gonna be some sort of slip.
Yo, Adrian, Brett hid your reply, by the way.
But yes, I know that. That's what I just said. Yeah.
Oh wow. Sensitive.
Yeah, you did. I thought it was fucking hilarious, personally. I think it's funny. I think it's very funny when that happens.
I've been there too. That's why I was surprised it showed me your reply.
He was not scared, bro. He was not scared.
You know, I never you know, for me it's kind of weird. Whenever I see a post with hidden replies, I instantly, the first thing I do is I check the hidden replies. So in my case, at least, it's giving more visibility to the hidden replies.
So that is a developer intended experience. Please stop.
Wow.
Stop making them available then. Stop making them available. Why are they available?
Free speech.
That's actually a good question. Yes. The one time you want censorship and you can't have it.
Yeah.
Gets us all.
Yeah, I wonder if they're actually going to push it through with the whole likes thing, because I'm seeing a lot of pushback. Like,
what likes thing? The
thing that Elon wants to do, it has been wanting to do for literally half a year now.
No comment.
Getting rid of likes as a whole, or just like under the comments?
But just under the posts.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that, to be honest.
I kind of would say the same thing. I will just take it as it is, and I think it could be a very interesting way to like freshen up everything.
Listen, how else?
Dopamine farming needs to still happen.
How else are we gonna fucking reshoot the president? Come on.
I mean, isn't that the reason why YouTube did their dislikes feature?
Yeah, but
the live streams from Congress, not Congress, sorry, anything that was with the during COVID, they would have like these streams and these videos, and they were so heavily disliked, it was insane. Because nobody wanted this fuck shit. Nobody. Except for a few people, of course, but a lot of people did not. And so they wanted to get rid of that. So they hid it. Because it was roughly about the same time. Like, literally, there was zero mention of this before, and then just shortly after the stuff started happening, it started getting worse, actually, as a matter of fact. Then they said, yeah, man, we're just going to have to do that to reduce negativity.
I thought it was after they had posted that recap video, and it was the most disliked video of all time.
Well, no, that was like
God, yeah, the 2024, not the 2024, the other one.
Wait, you talking about the YouTube rewind?
Recaps.
2018.
Yeah, YouTube rewind.
Yeah, the most disliked videos on YouTube record is held by YouTube. I do love that fact. That's great.
That's ironic. Yeah.
It was done like 3 years afterwards, so.
And then fucking Friday.
Hate that.
I absolutely do not like that song. I have a personal issue with it.
Same.
Yeah, if they get rid of the likes under the comments, though, I think it's gonna get rid of the single best interaction I've ever seen on this platform.
These
was
nuts?
basically this guy came on and he was saying some bullshit. And then this guy under him replied with, bro, you're such an NPC. And then the guy replied, could an NPC give you this ratio?
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe it just could. Could all be. You know? It's entirely hypothetical. Yeah. Man, this show is really performing well. We got like 300 over people in here. It was great. Definitely a next level daily format.
It is against the First Amendment to not be allowed to ratio the president. This is the Constitution. All right.
That does feel like a
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah, I hope that it doesn't actually happen because I think it looks cool. It is clean, but it'll cause issues. I think personally, unneeded issues.
Think of it differently though. If likes are hidden, you get real data. If you can't engagement farm if that's real data, that real data could actually lead to an improved timeline. Things will go viral because
That's true.
No more of these.
Yeah, true.
Like and retweet this, and I'm going to give out a prize.
Yeah, there is also some redundancy in likes and impressions.
Oh no, the impressions will stay. They're including the view counts with everything. They include the time and the view counts. Those will be left.
What's up with all the accounts that post the bullshit unrelated things, like the videos, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Which ones?
They just copy from TikTok, so like their engagement farm.
Yeah, they just post some bullshit that's completely unrelated to the actual.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like the replies? Okay, there you go. This is like something you have to be very specific. Again, you have to be specific. I see this happening multiple times. So you have to be specific. They're not really posting anything. They're just making replies. Yeah, those are just engagement farmers. And ironically enough, I kind of feel like it's just implied that that's something you want to do because the videos themselves actually come from those same accounts. Like, say, for instance, if it's Rainmaker, then what happens is the video itself is also from Rainmaker. If somebody's hiding, like putting this in a reply. So this I think is very interesting consistency I've noticed. And also the thing I've noticed recently is that in order to basically make it seem as if they didn't steal something from somewhere, because they do, they absolutely fucking do, right? Constantly rip data from everywhere without giving the sources. There's no denying this. I don't care who you are, I don't care how nice that content is, it's not your content, you didn't give the source. That's a problem. And it's has a verifiable source. If it's a meme, nobody gives a shit. But if it's like an actual piece of content that somebody put a lot of work into, and you don't cite them on this, you're a bad person. I'm just saying it now. You know. Thing is, they are taking smaller accounts, they just have them there, and they use those to post those videos constantly. Always the same accounts, but they're like small accounts. So my guess would be they have those there in case there are, copyright strikes or things like that. So they do it like this, or it actually makes it look as if somebody else found it. It's like, oh no, I just saw it on a timeline. It's not my fault. I just saw it on a timeline. You know, I didn't steal this video. No, I just saw it on a timeline. See, this person took it. I guess I thought it was theirs. You know, that's how they were going their way out of this. Because I've seen people getting more salty about this too. Me? Sources. Always the fucking sources.
Do you know about Piotr Wozniak?
Maybe. Why?
So he's this fucking Polish researcher, PhD guy who like literally invented the entire field of SRS, spaced repetition, right? And he's like a memory researcher, and basically he hates like the educational system, and that's basically extended to him doing a bunch of research and not citing sources anywhere whatsoever. So he'll say something and then he won't cite sources about anything whatsoever. Just because he's like, I fucking hate the system, so I'm not going to cite any sources.
Oh wow. That's hilarious.
And he's got like a full on PhD as well. So he's just like, I went all the way and I fucking hate this shit.
I guess you just have to know. What? Okay. The hell? No. What is it with everyone tagging X support? I don't fucking get this. Well, my review is not coming in because I also will check. Yes. Just resubscribe and your ad review should be on pause as far as I'm aware. I think I noticed here. This is like a. Alright, right. Anyways. Excuse me.
Hey, Matt, are you there?
Get your connection issue. I think we should rug it for today and continue again, I don't know, like tomorrow. That would be great. Around the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, starting. I'll be here doing my thing. I'll probably be very busy tomorrow as well, so there could be potentially some delays, but we'll have the format going. Yeah, man. So cool. And I think we'll do the breakdown. So we're supposed to do the breakdown tomorrow, but I really haven't talked to Xander, and Xander hasn't really brought it up to me yet either. So I think we both kind of need an extra day. So we'll take probably an extra day or two to kind of do a breakdown on the Elon and Lex Friedman interview. I think personally, because I mean it's not really that needed at the moment. I think we can kind of talk about this whenever, or we can just mention it in casual conversation and then just kind of curate things, or maybe even we wiggle it into the weekly summary. I'm just kidding. Actually, that would actually work, wouldn't it? Because
So the interview with Elon is I think hour and a half, so it's not that long, but there's
but there's other stuff that we need to get into technically, not just the Elon interview, but the interview with the Neuralink guys, which everybody just skipped over for some reason.
Yeah,
I see no post about the Neuralink interview. It's where's all this stuff gone? The section most important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, FYI, little bit of bounty for anyone here who'd like to. If you have clips of those moments, send them to me in DMs, or just the videos themselves, send them to me in DMs. I will upload them and tag you as the source for those clips, so you can get the thing. Like, for instance, there was a video that I posted that somebody showed me from the Lex podcast, which was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. Posted out there. It has to be native, so I can natively post it myself because I need the media views, I'll be honest with you. So yes, that would be epic if you guys could send me the clips, and you guys get exposure as well, because then that's what it's from. Your tags will be there in the reply, so whoever likes the consistent delivery of those clips, because that's how you actually gain a following, so through consistency, you will then, of course, get reach if that's something you want, or just want to have fun. Just say it. Yeah. Also, encouragement, post good stuff in the community. It's very good. As you can see on the trending, if you switch to trending, you'll see a lot of really good content there. I love the work that has been put in recently by everyone. You guys are epic. Wow, now we have shitpost gateway coming up. I like the alien tech video, it was great. So no shit. We shall. I think we'll just rock it here, ironically. We kind of caught the tail end of that space. What do you guys think? We're okay?
Yeah, sure.
Should we do a live stream? I think we should do a live stream again soon. We'll just play some Diablo stuff again, or some Helldivers. Speaking of, Wise is laid down for a little jam?
Yeah.
Sweet.
English, like the video, the shit about